Thero sarnai kela me dharma desana bai කටයුතු ආරම්භ කිරීමටයි සූදානම් වෙන්නේ. ඔබ සෑම දිනම ඊටම සාදරයෙන් පිළිගන්නවා මේ ධර්ම දේශනාවට. Good evening everyone. I would like to welcome most venerable Bambalapitiye Gnanaloka Thero in this evening. I can say lots of devotees have come to listen to his sermon. Both halls are full actually. I haven't seen such a big crowd in recently in a sermon in London actually. A lot of people with enthusiasm to listen Venerable Bambalapitiye Gnanaloka Hamdru. If I introduce, without taking much of your time in briefly, Venerable Bambalapitiye Gnanaloka Thero is a forest monk. He had practiced very rigid, austere practices in Himalayan mountains. Very rare experience he had, and also in Kailasa mountain in Tibet, and he had meditated in Nepal and also in the forest in India as well. This way he had very deep, very great experience in Buddhist meditation. We are very fortunate to have an opportunity for listening to this sermon in this evening. If I say a few words, Venerable Gnanaloka Thero met a Mendicant monk, German monk, Venerable Gnanavimala, was a cornerstone and turning point in his life. Greatly influenced by the ardency and ascetic practices of Venerable Gnanavimala, he spent many years practicing meditation and the Dhamma teachings with his mentor, Venerable Gnanavimala, in the island hermitage Purgastur in southern Sri Lanka. In 1999, Venerable Gnanavimala became a novice monk, thus entering monkhood at the age of 28, and was ordained as a bhikkhu in 2001 in Sri Lanka. Until 2012, he was in forests as a forest monk. In 2012, he entered to the society to share his wisdom with public in Sri Lanka. During this tour, he had given sermons in France, Italy, Switzerland and Germany as well. During the last 3 weeks he was very busy. There was a very huge demand for Dhamma sermons, and given so many sermons in many temples in London and outside London. Today we are very fortunate we can listen to him, and we can enhance our understanding or knowledge according to his guidelines. Without taking much of your time, I would like to invite Most Venerable Bambalapitiye Gnanaloka Thero. This sermon was coordinated by Mr. Sujiva Neunhella. He is the coordinator. If something is wrong, please blame to him. Sorry. I'm joking, so with respect, I would like to invite. I would like to say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Essence of the Triple Gem. Actually, my being late, you can't blame Mr. Neunhella. It's actually, you see, my whole motto is an old one of some saints also, be and make. So I have to put in myself into a certain practice before I come out. Actually, I call this that certain inner practice. I'm trying to put it out, so you get some tangible experience of it. So these days I've been busy, but still I teach how you do things without getting tired. So then I have to set an example of that also. And today I had to spend some time, and maybe 1 hour. You have been seated here for 1 hour?
Yes.
Okay. Then better you get up a little bit and stretch yourself, really. Just stretch a bit, don't be tight, and then if you feel okay, it's all right. But if you feel it's, with me there's no dignifying way, just feel comfortable. Are you really okay?
Yes.
Tell you honestly, I'm not a sort of a preacher or somebody like that. In fact, I'm a yogi, and Bhante actually introduced me as a forest monk. I don't think I'm a forest monk also. I think maybe I could call myself a solitary monk. Because I'm allergic to attachment, even to forest. When there's attachment, like some forest I go in. Not all, I stayed more forest than my teacher actually, my mentor. But myself, I spend more for. He used to tell that you get a chance, don't search for solitude. These are the 2 halls, no? Yeah. Okay. So he said, because many monks they search for solitude, and you see you can't. It's based on your certain karma, we call it, destiny. We get certain places to associate. So when we know that, whatever place you have, you learn to practice. You make every place for a place of practice. This is my main practice actually. Whether it's the airport, whether going in the vehicle. So I think most of you actually, most I have noticed that you don't do this practice actually in your daily life, especially when you're driving and when you're doing any other activity, doing in such a way that you don't feel tired. This is one thing one has to really master. Because sometimes you think maybe there's a lot of work and a lot of this thing that I can't, that's why I can't meditate. No, my friends, that part of the brain is not open yet. So it has to, when it is open, that coolness is pervading your entire being. And whatever you touch, you have that restfulness. You will not leave that spot. So only that you have not got into that spot. If you get into that spot, you will be working, staying there. And you'll do fast, your body will move fast, but your mind will. So I hope in this program that part will get opened some form or the other. So the other way now, normally my programs are like a little bit here. Today is a bit close to Sri Lanka, slowly, slowly. I call it a meditation rock concert. This is how I have it. Because you learn to make your meditation tasty. We have learned to make food tasty, but not our meditation. That's the main reason that we are not doing it, my friends. Because it's something, if you make, there's a way, there's an art of it, art how to do it. So if you have done like that, you'll be already doing these things, and you'll not need even to come like this to find out again how to do it or something like that. So these 3-4 days, my discourses have changed. I just go, I don't know, my heart has to speak out. So I was very happy last 3-4 days. They have even made that beyond sight. Very good. The persons who have beyond sight made a title in that the new one just 2 days back. Yeah, after a long time I was directly touching, straight to nirvana, to liberation. The thing is, I was not touching that. I used to give it anyway some points to the end, but not directly going into that. I was not feeling to say that, because even 2012 when I came to public, I saw that certain groundwork was not happening for it to be experienced. Now I must tell you, I don't know how much of the introduction given by Bhante is a normal introduction. But do you know exactly what made me come like this and all that? Do you all, any one of you know? No. So I have to always give my own introduction. Even the organizers, they think maybe it's all some kind of fantasy, Because of course I don't take them in those remote areas, but I'm not going to lie about it. Surely it's a true experience. Tell you honestly, it's a little boring for me to repeat again all these things, but can't help it. I must tell you this. Sorry?
Because you were going to die in a high altitude.
Yes.
Yeah?
But maybe one of you, right? How many of you know that? Okay, very little, very little. Okay. All right. This I must tell. Yesterday I got really this thing with that, because I get the feeling, when I was a young monk, I got this invitation to come to States actually. So that time I told them, when I'm an Arahant, I will come. I was not joking about that. Now I don't lot of name titles like Arahant or Uttapan. For me, the idea of Arahant is where you have no trace of anger, no trace of greed, and no trace of ego. You are fully self-realized. You know what this self is. That there is no self. This is just an idea that comes up. Because of lack of right attention, right awareness, and touch with something that is, that the main part of your consciousness of feeling. So when these things, if they're absent, if they're completely in your wake state, you're always conscious, surely I would think I would have attained something to a final thing. So I was thinking like this. So what happened, I went on like this, practicing. But my teacher had some very, he's not, there are many things about him. Now many monks, he would tell them to go to forest or go to, don't go to, of course I have been doing that also. We don't even go to danas or functions, because I think we can go for a function when we become an Arahant, then we can celebrate. until then we had to, this is the purpose we took our decision when we, cut our hair. To be in the battleground, to keep striving, to not to keep any distractions and things like this. So anyway, I went on like this, and 2014, I faced this altitude sickness. So my teacher, I'll tell parts and part, my brain maybe is brain damaged by the altitude sickness, don't worry about it, right? So there'll be like pictures, just, so my teacher he used to tell me, the latter part, one part, the great headache with him was, he was telling me to become a monk. I want to become a monk, but later on I want to meditate, but not to become a monk, because I thought other monks actually in the monastery, they were very good, virtuous, everything, but I didn't see them practicing so hard. So I thought if I be a monk, this will happen to me. So sort of I really like the practice, so I kept away. I just want to do the practice. So he used to tell whenever he meets me, how good when you ordain and all that, you can encourage others like that. He used to tell. So tactfully he tells, that means you ordain. But so I used to think this old monk will forget. I used to go to Himalayas, come back, but when he sees me, he would tell the same thing. So one day I told Bhante, I can't become a monk. The monks are deteriorating. The dispensation is deteriorating. The monasteries are deteriorating. And he looked at me and said, your consciousness is deteriorating. So no, you enter the Sangha and keep practicing. Don't be separate, you do the same thing you do like that. So anyway, that also created something. But it took me 3 years to make the final decision, and I did become a monk. So my teacher, like this I went on, and then after that, the thing that he was telling me very often was, these people are waiting for you, you have to go and help them. These people, you have to go and teach them, you have to help them like that. So this was the last, so it was not like a pressure. I was wondering, of course I had this compassion, but I never liked to be with people, tell you honestly. I enjoy being alone with myself. But crowds like this, I'm the most allergic person. But I am in a kind of alone now. You might also get the same feeling. It's just kind of infectious, It just will pervade. You will feel like, I hope it will definitely happen. Like something pervading, and you will be in a kind of some zone. So this is, so I always had this particular thing that all beings should get some support and practice and so on, that they should have no tears. So this for the age of 18 I had strongly, and then I did certain things, and then he's the one who, Vimalapanth, is the one who gave me the idea how to do it. That means you must first become selfish to be self-realized, to know who you are. When you know there is no self, then you serve selflessly, without ulterior motives to a self. So it's a wise way. Soon you have something you cling to as you. All your work will be based on that. But when you learn to see that there's no you and you're free from any kind of your ulterior motives of connected with even a view, a vision. Now sometimes in spiritual people also, they attach not to bodies, but they will attach to views. If you can cut their body, they will not be upset. But you argue their view, they will get upset. So this view that doesn't make you cling to anything, even to any view. A viewless view has the broadest view. So when you have that, the spiritual path, Buddha's main this thing, I think it has this particular thing. So my teacher was, then after that, my teacher, he was like giving this particular, he gave me the idea also how when you develop the mind, the purity of mind has an impact. That it has certain impact, my friend. Like if you want to help the people, the thing is, you helping means not just chattering or just coming and meeting people also. You have to make them change. If you don't make them change, now you can see, there are certain people, now in Sri Lanka, this question was asked from me many times, Bhante, why are monks not changing? Why people hear so much discourses and a lot of programs are going on, why is these people, they are not changing? I didn't have the answer that time, but then I said, I don't know, I will find out. And after some time, I did find out. The people who are delivering, they are not pure, my friends. If they are pure, there are certain monks, like we have Somahamdro who came, like a Vivekananda in Sri Lanka. He was like we knew him from young age. You could see him practicing in the monastery. He used to be in the forest, come walking. Did a lot of training for several years now. In 50 only he came to the public. But people who were drinking, smoking, they were stopping. So you can understand. The reason is that purity of the person who delivers. that has a mystic force. So if you really want to change your husband, your wife, or your children, I think this is you can understand this principle. I will tell you another one. I'm going to my main topic. Don't worry, I'm putting several pictures, right? Like Swami Vivekananda, some who have now heard this would be boring. You know about Swami Vivekananda? He's also very, no? I mean, you don't know. He was like, this place, I think Anagarika Dharmapala, the same time in 1995, around this period, he was at Parliament of Religion in Chicago. So he was the main, he just sort of, there are several things I want to talk about with that connection. He saw Sisters and Brothers of America. It has some power, some force in it. The people saw I don't know how they had no means of recording, but it created a sensation. And so after he became famous, one day one mother brought a child to him, and then he asked Swamiji, my child is addicted to little fat and addicted to sugar and sweets. Can you please give him some mantra or something to overcome that? So what happened, he said, okay, after 10 days, you can come, please come, I will give him something. So after 10 days they came, and then he said, son, don't eat sugar. And he said, Swamiji, I thought you would give a mantra, and you should have told that 10 days ago, when so 10 days ago I was eating sugar. So after 10 days, now I stopped. So yeah, this is one way, my friends. This is something where if you want to change somebody, always find your faults and then remove that. Slowly you'll be able to. So I must tell you, after 2014, I faced this in Kailash. Have you heard of Kora? I don't know. You go around a mountain, Kailash mountain. So I was walking around this place, and I have got slightly, always when you go to altitude, high altitude, you get, but when you really got it, you really, affected, So 2014, I was all blue. And then while walking, it was splitting headache. And then I was walking around, and there was my guide and the driver who accompanied, they were both there. And they also, now I was imagining there'll be a vehicle somewhere in front of me, like this, because I can't walk anymore. I just continued and just watched myself like from outside. And looking, then I had to focus on certain, meditation, which I want to maybe share with you all. Anyway, we went to a Manasarova lake, and then we stayed there the night. I was feeling like I'm going to die, It's like you're joking, I can't explain exactly, but so there only I was preparing for, that we have a practice, how we watch ourselves, the skandhas, as who we are, the components. So this is not if you practice, then it won't work, it's a daily practice. You see, this Gnanaloka is a rupa, form, vedana, sanya, sankara. Netam mama, nesoham asmi, namesu attati. This is not me, not myself. Evametan yata bhutan. You see this with calm, tranquil mind, with intuition. One sign is nibbindati, virajyati, nirodheti, nibbanati. Your mind ceases, turns away. So, anyway, this practice, before this practice, suddenly the thought came, I couldn't help the people enough. I couldn't, because I was running away always, and I couldn't share enough. This thought came, but now I can't help it. Now I have to forget about it. Next life, I didn't think like that, but I'm just thinking, I just thought to myself, can't help it now. And I focused on this particular observing. So anyway, I survived that occasion. But 2015, it was, I don't know. Actually, when I remember that period, you're seeing a ghost now. It was, you go into a coma. I don't know if you know, maybe doctors. But even doctors who are not in the altitude, this is really, you can't understand this particular sick. Normally the medicine is to go to low altitude where there's more oxygen. So this 2015, I was really affected. One night I was not sure I'll make it. The same thought came. I couldn't do enough to the people and then can't help it. And then I focused. Actually I was breathless and I can't even lift my hand like this, slowly weakening. And with that, okay, but I made it, okay, but I was weak, so weak, even in, this place, Kathmandu. So my one person who used to take me here and there, when he brought me from the airport, took me to the room. But I told him in the evening I had a habit of going to the cremation grounds. This was my kind of entertainment if I'm in Kathmandu, near the Bagmati river, where you can see a sutra there, where, relations come, attachment, how much it creates suffering, pain. The way they cry is not sort of drama or something. When you watch that, you feel so happy you're wearing these robes. And so I go there normally. So now I should be resting actually, but I told the gentleman, come in the evening. And in the evening we started to go. I said, they call me Swamiji there, right? So he used to tell me, Swamiji, why you are coming like that? I said, this is the time, this will give me recovery. I was like this, I don't know how to show you all, I was I didn't have strength even to, so I got into that vehicle and then I went and came away. But he was still thinking, now this is the time is to be in hospital. But so this is also very important. When you are in difficult situations, this is the best time to practice, my friends. So anyway, this was one thing that happened to me. But another thing happened, which I can't tell you all. Now there only I learned that the demon, you have something called demon, this directly attacked. We call them either Mara or whatever. So another, my robes were was going to be removed. So there I had nothing to survive. I have only, now this was a physical one, the other one, which I can't share with you all. I wish one day I could share, but not now yet. I have told some of the senior monks. And so the thing that happened was I had nothing. What I cherished, all that was completely destroyed. But then only the real practice started. That means to survive, I just have to hang on to something. So what came to my mind was don't personalize it. Now that word was not strong enough. I told myself, don't egolize it. It's not a proper English word, I know. Don't egolize it. Don't solidify it. It's just a phenomenon. So I had just let it pass away. Just a phenomenon. Let it pass away. And when I thought like that, when I did like that, well, I managed to go forward. So I understood the devil hits you from your ego. When you worry someone did something to you and something is happening to you, there's no you, my friends. There's no other. But you have to really get a perception of it and a feel of it. Even certain memories that we identify, that is all mostly, you feel it, you feel the impact and this thing, you don't take the mask out of it. And otherwise, actually we have a screen. The screen we have, the projector which brings the picture into that, with light and so on. The screen is something which is peaceful, without the film. The film creates, the possibility of more easy way to sort of make a self in it. The other one also makes a self in a subtle form. So that you can have equanimity, peace of observer, being an observer of these things. Because these are very fast changing. And if you analyze properly, you find they don't exist now. Now even what has passed by is just a memory. If you put back, now we say it's a moment of consciousness. In a moment of consciousness, every time there's a feeling, perception. These are the factors of consciousness. The way you perceive, you react. Say you remember somebody, some Tom, Dick or Harry, somebody, you name this person, and you have an idea, he scolded me or he praised me, something that bothers you. But then you go back, you see what was it, what happened. The Buddha says, what was that thing that you recognize as John or whoever, whatever name? That is perception, isn't it? There could be somebody else also, you will perceive, sometimes somebody comes disguised, looks same person. I told yesterday, like when I was very small, we were in, is it hot here? Do you need a fan? I also can manage, but I don't know the, okay, all together. All right. So, once when I was at, when I was going to this place, what was school, when I was very small, we were in one place, in a remote place in Sri Lanka, a dry zone, like a research station. Not for me. No. For them, yeah, it's okay. In that place, it's funny to put a fan now, no? I also asked for a fan, because I'm still sometimes memory like in Sri Lanka, not in here, but it's coming to winter. Too much. Too much. I will hope you get this power, where you don't feel cold, heat, and now the fan is okay, but the sound is. I'm trying to get into, because I have to also meditate while I'm talking to you all. It's okay, but. So, when I was with my father, when I was very small, 1 year, 2 years, I remember, they went, to have an open market in this remote place, and I was holding his trousers, and slowly, so I was so small, of course, I can't see him up there, he was holding his trousers. And after some time, I just looked up to see it's not my father, it was another person. And I started crying, like a nightmare for me. And then, of course, my father runs from somewhere and catches me at that time. So, you can see how perception is, you hold on to something, it's not real. Now, even a person, you see, your child, or to one person, for one person is a child, another one, a husband. Another person, it is, it could be a brother. You can see the perception. So, is it really what you perceive, is it real? So, any moment of consciousness is not real. So when you see this, this is one way, it's a little bit intellectually kind of getting an idea of, not intellectually, you can come closer to see that this, what you are perceiving or cognizing is really not it's not a real thing, like you are in a kind of a dream. So this if you perceive it a little bit, this is very important for this, to get this mental peace, so you don't identify with what has happened. And because some people will create, kind of depression, or now this group doesn't look like that. There is one group in Italy, I don't know the back. They had this program, and it took me 1 hour to get a smile out of them. I think like they have been brought to be taken to the gallows, I thought. Actually, I really then got to know also their condition. And at 10 o'clock they were leaving to do a night job or something. And I could see they're really so much stress, and I don't know what it is. I felt so sad. I was so happy. There were few occasions in this trip, I really felt that just coming, for just having that experience was worth it. Another gentleman I met, when in the end of the program, normally I tell to raise the hand who have some problem, just to, really if someone has problems, my powers comes more. So I need, when I'm a little stuck, for my help, I just ask some people to raise slightly, so I can, sort of give them some. So one gentleman was slightly holding, he looked so handsome, so everything okay. But I did feel something that, so I gave the blessings. And he did come later in the night, where the place I was staying that night. And when he came, I don't want to tell because it's a private thing, you know. I was really touched. The way I was really touched, you know. I mean, the people are just there, but the sufferings they are going through, nobody can cure it. No solution in the modern this thing. Who to look for? They will do something, but they are. I mean, it was so visible something which he did, you know. Then I got to know when he's moving, what is happening to him. And I was very happy that at least, and my prayers always, even those in Italy, I was telling them when they have to get up and go, I said, always my prayer, my blessings will be there for you. Whatever place, wherever I'm getting more enlightened, surely. There are few occasions. There's another situation, or another in my life in this journey. I was with LTT, the terrorists in Sri Lanka. I was cutting across jungle those days, 2003. And there are occasions where some of their, the soldiers, they got to know I'm blessing and I'm going that I'm giving marriage to their ancestors or something like this. When they slowly got to know, some of them rushing with a parcel just to offer something. And then it was after 12, you know, then I was very strict about it because that virtue, that following what the Buddha has told exactly, gave me the strength to be there. That was my weapon. And compassion to them. I didn't see them as LTT. I saw them as Panchupadana Skanda, the 5 skandhas. And karma has brought this phenomena. This is how I saw them. And and when sometimes passing the bunkers, I would feel, they used to ask, why are you so happy? One is that I used to see them, and I could see also if they practice, if the craving goes away from the body and the consciousness, they also can attain peace. It's no discrimination. Peace is some kind of monopoly. Actually, I think the last people who will attain peace will be Sri Lankans. I'm sorry. Who are supposed to carry the whole doctrine. The problem is they are carrying this box with them. Or I'm not telling like that. Okay, now is the time to awaken, my friends. To break away from all the poison the traditions. It's okay, you keep the tradition, but don't neglect the main practice. Don't get angry with your neighbor. Don't show a long face. So these are the ways to be a Buddhist, you know. I heard another nice story in, what is this place, in this gentleman who became a Buddhist, he happened to tell, he's from England. So he told like how he was even impressed when he was a young boy to become a Buddhist. So that was in his father's shop. And he saw one lady coming to the shop and she didn't have much money, she looked very poor. She used to buy small thing and she used to go. And she seemed to be like from Asia. So he one day asked the mother, who is that lady? Then she has said, that is, she's a Sri Lankan lady. And she said, why is she so happy? She said, well, she's a Buddhist. So, yeah, this is the way. If you really want to this thing, you can't act, you know. There are some people, I remember we used to make joke when I was a small boy. We went, that time this gentleman, you know, like that he didn't like small children. So the way he would smile is like, he smiles and then stops. Smiles and stops. It is like, you know, lip movement. It's not coming like the air hostess, how are you? Right? The aeroplane. Continuously, how are you? It's good. They can practice compassion meditation very much. Of course, they have to get some feeling to do it. But of course, it looks quite a bit lifeless also. So, if you want to generate this particular practice, where was I? I want to touch some points. I don't know, most of you must be new. New means, in 2012 when I came to public, I actually happened to, so I must tell you one thing, I didn't come here wanted to come here. There are only few things that came, 16 they tried to arrange, but it didn't work, 2016. And then 17, only it worked. It started from Australia. So I know I'm not still an Arahant, but one thing I'm happy, they also had a plan to, like in the itinerary, to take me to Melbourne city. So they got to know that the last place I would go is a Melbourne city. I'm not there to watch, I had no interest to. So they happened to take me to some forest there. They are very ancient forests, also old, very old forests. So one thing I was happy that I didn't look here and there, all these buildings or whatever. I was not fascinated or this much. I am happy with this journey. I just feel it's just a perception, and this just keep my meditation object. So, but anyway, I had to take the decision. And this is also some destiny, some karma, unavoidable, because I was in Rishikesh 3 years back. Rishikesh, I don't know whether you know, in the Himalayas, the foothills of Himalayas. There was one day walking near a sort of river, the Ganges, and that time one gentleman I met, not a gentleman, he's like a holy gentleman, I would call him. And he just suddenly told me like this, something I never forget. When you're 45 years, you will have no time to, no time to come to this area. And it's true. It's very true. In my life, never been so busy. Of course, from country to country or like this, and then the rainy season also, I'm so busy. Just no time really, and I really would like to. So I can see some, yeah, definitely, there's some destiny to meet. And one thing I'm happy, I can see already some people that I met already. If I didn't come, I don't think that lock could have not been open. Especially some who were drinking. And I told this person not to drink. I just simply told him he was from Poland. And this was in Stroud or somewhere. No? I don't know. Stroud? Where did you Stroud, right, okay. So this was the staff of that hotel. So my who hosted me there, his hotel. So I took this thing to call the staff when I'm going, because I had a good opportunity to sort of make the family, whole family. And they brought all the staff there, and there was one from Poland. And I saw him that, I found that he was drinking actually, and addicted to alcohol. I just told him how you become more ugly and so on. And then I left, of course. Then I got to know that he has said 30 years he has been drinking, and his wife has told to stop. He said, I didn't stop. And he told my friend, that gentleman, you told me to stop, but I didn't stop. But your friend told me to stop, and I stopped. My friend was me, that time meeting. So I was very happy. This is what I want. Now I tell always, this meeting is not some entertainment I came. Yesterday I was I don't know who was there in that program. I was like, I got into a fit like thing. And because sometimes I feel some of them don't know, I don't know why they came also. They will, I'm sure there is some, because there has to be some turning point, some revolution in our lives. And the other thing, I'm doing this, now I'll be going to Kailash again. Of course, I went this year. I went to the same place where I nearly left this body. And this time it was okay, there's no real issues. But I'll be going, as long as I have the strength until I achieve my dream. I would never stop this. So, of course, if I face that situation, this time I'll be okay. I don't think I will think I did enough to people. So, in the Kailash, so this is very important. I feel there's had to be some change in our practice, and to know the seriousness of this life. If you are going to lose this life, that this opportunity will be lost, and we won't wait until we are completely too weak or unable. That when we have some sense and strength, that we'll master this main thing. That is, to know who you are. I think the greatest crime is not to know the secret of this life and die. If you don't know the secret, you will fear death also. My friends, what dies is not really what you are. You are something which does not die. So if you get to know the place where it doesn't die, actually there's no place. Nowhere is the place that does not die. So this is something where slowly only attachment creates a place, and you have no attachment, that place disappears. So this is where finally we have to come, but it needs realization to come to that. So normally I give you some points. I explain like this. I don't know how far. Let's see. all of you must be working, isn't it?
It's okay with the time.
Sorry? Some of you. You're like me then, no work.
It's okay with the time.
Most of them are not working and some of them are working. Is it like that?
Most of them.
But I will give you some things for your journey. I have this stock explanation normally, I give you these points also. Normally we have, through internet and all that, how the demons enter and all that. You have not heard about it, right? Okay, I give you small outline because I don't want to dwell too much on that. If you go through the old YouTube, this thing, I have been explaining that a lot and it's very boring for me also. But just to get a live this thing about it, some points I quickly cover that. Normally we have in our life, suddenly we are, like you go out of track. You put ourselves into mud, we call it, and sometimes we wash ourselves. Like coming here is like washing ourselves. And suddenly we get so distracted and tempted or something, and we go out of track. When this kind of thing is happening, my friends, I got to know in this present period of our existence, that now what we say we go out of track, it is a certain emotion, a raga, dosa, moha, we call it, greed, hate and delusion, that activates in our brain. Normally we have the two parts of the brain, reptilian brain and the brain that we think and analyze and sort of meditation happens. So this reptilian brain, when it happens to that extent, where we do certain things where we don't want other people to even know we are doing these things, maybe in the toilet, maybe in some other place, going to a bar or somewhere. If you have this kind of thing, my friends, definitely, when you have these emotions at that level, corresponding to that level of mental activity, those vibrations, there are certain dimensions that open up. When those dimensions open up, there are beings in those dimensions, they enter our system. You can know that, that's why we get the strength to do something sinful. You have to get somewhere, that force, that strength you get to go into that. Definitely, when you know something like that is happening in your life, you should notice that this is happening. You don't have to see those beings. From the action you can know what is behind it. When you know one time, now, when you feel so graphically about this is happening in my life, when the next time this temptation comes, you can keep away from it. And then the third time when you keep away, like that you keep away, then the nourishment, you don't give nourishment to these particular forces. And then they'll have to leave, my friends. Then your certain holes in your character get patched up. Now this is necessary if you want to develop this particular path, that foundation to be strong. This time the devotees in Sri Lanka, they made this rope which is quite big for me. With so much I think they want me to get more fatter, or I don't know what. So when you have something like that, when you have you're going distracted, your mind is going, you should know that there's such an influence like that. Then otherwise you don't feel frightened about it, you will not feel. Now you don't need today, mostly through the computers, through the internet. There are so many ways. The Gnanaloka, the sensual world, is, actually I think the Mara, the demon, is really using the computer. Not the Buddha. I think Buddhists, whatever institutions, this mainly because that is an instrument in the sensual world, it's information technology. So they are today mostly, the thing is, that instrument is neutral. But the people how you use it, for what purpose? Like a vehicle also, you can come with a vehicle here, or you can even listen to this program, I don't know, somewhere else. So this is okay, but if it is used for something else, now, thing is, this is not handled by enlightened minds. There are people, they will be having, the mind is like a wound, it's not healed properly from defilements so easily. If you're not, now you can't tell today not to use the computer because that's not practical. You have to be enlightened about its, dangers, especially the children and also people who are. So when you have this kind of thing, when you're driven like that, then you can keep away for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. When there's time for the brain to get repaired, and when it is done more, because now people want to be they want to be free from stress and things like that also. They don't know that these are the other things, addictions, which you sort of have to do things again and again. When you have doing such a thing, we are draining a lot of energy, my friends. Because definitely you are enjoying something pleasurable. You can't have something, when there's a certain pleasure to experience, you're losing a lot of energy. One symptom of that is getting irritated very quickly, getting angry. Now many think compassion meditation is the solution for removing anger. No. It is the way a person gets angry, you can know the person's desires. So when the desires are cleared, now desire comes out of illusion, fantasy. So there's another exercise for removing desires. One way is to know the graphically dangerous nature of this sort of keep away. The other one is to remove the inner urge. You have to really bring back the memory and those incidences and things and go through that in an equanimous way without the experience. Then that illusion, the fantasy, will be broken. You see facts which you didn't see before with the experience. Because your mind is now free without the experience to really see it in an equanimous way. And when you're seeing, if you really see what is really anything, my friends, you will be, if you can test something whether you have understood, where if you can really know whether you have really understood something, when you get repulsed by that. If that means that is the real truth of any experience. If you are still attracted, you are not having the full knowledge about it. There's a saying, I don't know, in Sri Lanka, apple, langata apple. Have you heard this? Far away, they say, it's in Sri Lanka, apple is expensive. So they say, far away is apple, and when you bring in near, it's pepper, Pepper is very cheap in Sri Lanka. Isn't it? So it's like this, anything you see far away, that means you're not seeing it properly. It is, you feel attracted. But when you bring something, it's everything in this world is like this, my friends. So bringing close and seeing the illusion is something where you remove the thirst, the inner urge of everything. So you don't run away, but with the experience, you can't. This is one important thing. The reality of that subject. And then if you can test whether you really know, is by having you have detachment, dispassion for that. Now the thing is, when you get to know that, when you know that now this is damaging you, you keep away from that, there's a chance for repairing your system. When it gets repaired enough, and now I told you now stress and all that comes because of loss of energy. Now when you keep away from those pressures and things that makes you lose energy, that energy, that energy has to go somewhere. Then normally this energy goes to your brain and repairs and gets deposited. And more moments of tranquility, or you're able to sustain your attention to this moment increases. The mental energy starts to grow. So then only you can pick up with your meditation. It's no point you try to do meditation, but then you have ways of losing energy. Unless you address that, either it could be computers, either it could be somewhere other thing you're doing. I will talk about a specific subject also. It's very important. And so when you're doing, now when you repair like that, normally it is said the thing that goes and deposits, it's an Ayurvedic term, it's called ojas. Ojas, tejas. Now ojas, when it gets deposited, it starts to give you tranquil feeling. Normally when it is you have much of it, you have a shine in your cheeks and forehead. So I always tell, very often I repeat, don't lose that shine. Then you don't have to apply Nivea, Nivea you have, I don't know, here you have Nivea, and in Sri Lanka, Fair and Lovely, I think. You make your thoughts fair and lovely. So this is very important, I think. You must know the benefit, otherwise you may have a bath and all that, and with the I don't want to tell all of, here it's cold and you wear coat and tie, right? So I'm not hinting anyone. I mean, Sri Lanka, we know you're well dressed, so even if you do all the mistakes and you come and wear all these kits, you can't hide, my friend. Actually, you might have to hide only, you'll have to maybe give your visiting card, tell a history about you to get respect from the world. But my friends, whenever you have done something hidden, that creates it makes you a clown, in other words. Because you have to show some fear or something to control, that, and keep people away from this thing, and you develop more negative. So you must know that these things you cannot hide. It makes a certain atmosphere around you, which is not really very inviting. You don't have the charm. That attraction should come from the charm, that energy, the self-restraint, which brings that particular charm around you, that personality is made. Otherwise, you are destroying your personality. You are doing things in a certain way that is destroying. So there are one symptom is feather brain, you get older and older. So I must tell you this thing, I told you about Swami Vivekananda. He just told one word, Sisters and Brothers of America, and it shook that time, something that in his voice there was some force. And later on they asked, what was that, Swamiji? What was that power? What sort of went out of you? Then he said, in India, in their tradition, they have a practice that for 12 years they do, where they even don't think of a sensual thought. Now that was too much for me when I heard this. I can't relate to him. I can relate myself to Mahatma Gandhi because he was struggling and he practiced this. But that I can't imagine. So 12 years, he also did that practice, he said. When you practice like that, there's a certain layer in your brain, a certain veil in your brain. That veil is removed, a curtain. And then that super brain, he says, it starts to work with knowledge and wisdom and everything. So he said that practice he did, and that purity burst out. So my friends, that's nice things to see what really happened in this history, spiritual history, how these people, their greatness, what is the background behind it. Now I must tell you, I will touch this point quickly, and I will go back to, I hope I can touch like yesterday and day before yesterday. I'm just covering some basic grounds. Now, there is this practice called, in the old time they knew, it was called Kumara Brahmacharya. It was known like that in Sri Lanka and other countries, but they don't even know the name, the word, the meaning today. Kumara Brahmacharya, I don't know how to translate into English, maybe Prince Celibacy or something like this, I don't know how to. That is a practice of celibacy before marriage, before studies also, during studies also, to keep this practice. Knowing the connection of sense restraint and not going into certain perversions, that how this is affecting the brain, the functioning of the brain. It's well known, it's very interesting for me also, like the MRI scan, that when you have at a peak level a certain sensual experience, how the reptilian brain functions, it takes over the entire brain. Now when this much of an experience, if a monk who is high ordained, he goes through it, it is called grave offense. Now it's so interesting how the Buddha, how he put in this kind of category, how he didn't have MRI scan that time, but how that particular knowledge that shuts down the thinking and the meditating brain. So my friends, this is very important. This is especially from the age of 14, I hope, and then others also who didn't know this. This practice, because when certain practices you do, when certain emotions come, certain hormones are created in the body, certain fluids, and there are certain, spirits that eat this fluid. They get deposited in your body. Now I will tell you how to notice that. If you get a tingling feeling and suddenly like a wind moving in your body, or certain dreams in your night, you could know these things are formed in your body. And you can know also from your actions. If you are doing something hidden, Now I'm telling these things to create the groundwork for how to create that enlightening mind. Otherwise no point talking. This is Buddha's time and now we have different situation. If I can't relate it to this period, it won't be practical and applicable. You'll be going for another class, another seminar here, there, everywhere. And so I hope this will help you all. So this is very important to know. So it's very funny, when you know like this, then you know the danger. You don't give in to temptation, you make a promise, you use the forces of dispassion, wisdom, so that you can keep away for some days. You have to count because the challenge is coming out of an addiction. You keep away 3 days, 1 week, like that. It's a funny thing, in the West, in England also I'm sure, and in America, I got to know there are groups like vegan. What do you call vegan, no? That they, vegan or what? Vegan. Okay, they keep to natural things, right? Not grass, I think. Vegetarian and all these things, okay? So that is another way. There's another group, now this side might be a little shocking, but it's called NOFAP. NOFAPP. Single P or double P. Now in the Sri Lankan group I say when I'm in the airport you find the meaning, not now. But this is very important. This NOFA, single P or double P. This is in the Christian traditions, they knew this is a demon activity. Now this will happen, my friend. Now this is very important. You find, I think, the YouTube, you'll find there are groups formed. They count 7 days, 90 days practicing these things. Now this should be very well known who are who are going on the spiritual path, who want to, they should know this knowledge more. And I was very happy after my Sunday program, one gentleman came, I don't see him, but if I see also, I can't tell. He came and told me with the internet, cell phone, he had a habit of seeing little bad things. And after that program, he just got the feeling he stopped this. So no one tells you, no one knows. These are all the negative spirits are attracted. And they are working, they are enjoying through. So unless you know this, that because your level of thinking, your body is human, the mental activity is the reptilian brain more functioning. So when you're reaching there, and normally we know from the old text, if you have a sensual thought and you die, you go to a lower plane. This is well known. But practically too, now because we still see the human face and body, but we don't see the mental structure or mental emotion that's going on is invisible. So leave alone next birth and all that, even this life will be facing stress, and we will have more of a long phase than this particular inner happiness you'll be losing. You feel tired and you feel irritated and always, so this is something I give you some groundwork. Now when you practice like that, I told the benefit also. When you keep away, you become more handsome, more beautiful. I don't know, my grandma used to tell you handsome. For ladies, you say pretty, no? Pretty, yes. So this you'll become, even if you're 40 years, you'll look 30. Okay, if you want to reduce, no need plastic surgery. You will have an alternative method with dignity and radiance, you will age. So this is something I think you should keep. Sorry, yes. More not burning your sort of blood. So this is one thing. Other thing I want to go into is how to do your work without feeling stressed out. So now these are practices told in the old text, but we hardly practice, my friends. Actually, so we don't know its proper application and really the practicality of it. So we want to be stress-free. And we only want to be, and we are never becoming that. Now there's another, I must tell you, I think, was it you? I think, Anna? It's okay, I tell, this is not something, I will never tell for sure. But this gentleman asked me, Bante, your discourses are mostly your personal experiences and sort of, and then you go into practically doing the thing like that. Some monks, they, sort of explain the entire scripture, the sutra, and sort of explain the sutra and all that. Yeah, I said, my main mission is experiencing the sutra. That is this is my main mission. There's no, to experience it now. There's no hanky-panky, I don't know what to call it, Anjanangeli Balana. This is serious for me, this serious stuff, now enough discussing the map, now we must really tread this path and then experience it. So if anyone is really interested of experiencing this really, not to talk about it and go for another, this thing for a kind of entertainment, may be helpful. Because my whole life, sometimes same stories, some of them are same. Because I'm stressing a path and my other purpose is to bring you into a vision. Now that I will come to the end of it, how the sutta, what guidelines you must use, what type of meditation you have to do to get self-realization. Who to make your guru. Maybe my YouTube, clips. Is it? I don't know, I'll come to that. This very important so that you have some idea, and I will ask some questions what you want to ask. I like to go with a question actually rather than, but wait, I will cover this certain thing without stress. This is another thing I explained now. I was very happy with 2 occasions, one in Australia and one, so they used to ask me, Bante, how to practice this? Like without getting stressed, and while you're working, that's the question. Now he was driving and he was asking me this. So I was thinking to explain again and again, this is meaningless. So I immediately held his forehead like this, while he was, like I was in the other seat, I held like this. Luckily there was no policeman or anybody, otherwise they would have thought hijack or something. So I hold, then I said, relax your mind now, feel the seat. And feel the seat and just look, pay attention and just relax just feel the seat properly. And I never forget, he's holding like this and his hand slowly relax. Oh, my friend, that's a big thing. Even if you take, I don't know what things you take in this modern day, any tablets or capsules, ginseng, maybe, I don't know what, that small moment of relaxing is a high dosage of energy, mental energy. So when you go like that, now it happened the second time, I was so happy. There was one gentleman, now normally some who are traveling with me or who are taking me, they feel like now I'm going to disappear in a minute, so they try to ask everything, So normally I don't like to talk much, I have to meditate while I'm going, I don't want to be rude and hurt them also. So one of them, they were just asking few questions. First they asked also, Bante, is it okay if I ask some questions? Of course I won't say no, I would say, okay. Today I was sometimes I could be a little bit this thing, but anyway I told him, okay, and then he asked me if there were questions. And then I knew that, now he also wants to really get into this practice. So I just thought, he was now asking, I said, now, let's practice now, I will teach you something. You just feel how you're holding the steering wheel. Then he started to feel, just started. Then I said, you recline. We have in Sri Lanka the reclining chairs. Just like those reclining chairs, I told you now, he was like this. The seat was behind. He's, that is already a stress posture. I told him just, you relax. You go back to the seat and relax, feel the seat. And okay, hold the steering wheel. Of course, it was a little far. There's another way you can come like this also. So anyway, when he was doing that, he was quiet. So I knew he was slowly enjoying that peace. Really. Then he was telling, Bante, I wish you always with me. I said, well, how you must remind yourself, This is so this is very important, I think. This small thing, but if you really want to, this is because you are then touching the energy part of your consciousness. Normally we are touching the stress part. We are going, we are not getting the energy, we are not going deep enough. Deep enough means we are not sustaining our attention to the moment. We are missing the moment. We are in a kind of anticipation. So normally, other thing I stress is like, don't have that animal walk. I tell my organization sometimes in Sri Lanka. They feel shy also. I show them how to see where you're not doing the practice. You're going taka 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 like this, looking at something, like very fast. So there, you can see your head is there, you are no focus of this moment. So, my friends, these are things we can So another one, if you are not learned much, you can master this easily. There was one Milan from one lady. So she had some problem. She came for the program in Berlin, I think. Yeah, West Berlin. And there she was telling me, actually I thought she's good to sit here. I don't have to speak. She has mastered it so much. But because I didn't do really proper retreats anywhere, only Australia, I was forced to do it. And there I explained the walking meditation and how I sent them in a certain way. I told them, just when you go out, think you're going window shopping. That's how you start. Think you're going on a holiday. Because when they say meditation, now even if I tell you now let's meditate, shall we? We do a quick meditation, shall we? Okay, we do quickly. Now when I say meditation, you start moving. Isn't it? Right? I want to test that. So you were not in meditation all this time? Sorry? So you should have been in meditation all this time. If you are in a relaxed posture, of course you're all jam-packed here, but if you were, now this is important, when any activity you must first check whether your physical body is in a comfortable way. Comfortable means you are not thinking much about your body. It's difficult here, you have to bear it a little bit. So this lady, she practiced this, like when she used to catch the train, she used to tell, I imagine if it was a holiday, how would I go? Okay, you note where you have to find the compartment or whatever, the number 8, 9, 10 or whatever. When you got to know that, you come back. You don't sort of make it like, oh, when I get in, only that focus. Just then watch your feet touching the ground. Of course, I have no shoes, so easy for me, but you at least, when you have a focus of the present moment, you'll find your brain will start to gather energy. It will make a big difference. It will give you you find an invisible petrol station you have. And that petrol you begin to pump into your system. And these are techniques you have to really, this is called Iriyapate in the old text. There are 4 things that will increase the samadhi, mental this thing. One is called Indriya Sangvara. Now, this Indriya Sangvara, there are 4 factors Buddha explains. If you practice these 4, you will have no monkey mind, you will have no stress. Now, stress means lack of concentration, lack of mental strength. So, how to gather mental strength? These are 4. I'm not telling them in slide. They are just even to feel the seat and all these things, to pay attention to the now. And that is one step. So the first one he tells the Buddha is called Indriya Sangvara, sense restraint. Now this sense restraint means I can look at you like this. You can see my eyes now, and I can look at you like this. When I see you all like this, I don't see. Do I look focused now? Today I'm really not focused. I don't know why. I'm not focused. Now I am what? Focus, okay. I don't know, I'm going into a very nice piece. Alright. This unfocused way, it's the yogi practice this. Now say you're crossing a street or crossing a road. You see vehicles coming, but you don't see who is inside the vehicle. And then when you're passing, pedestrian, you pass one place, you see people coming, but you don't see who they are. Now there's this big question some of them ask me, I don't know whether they will ask me here, that now these are all for practice, my friends. So if you, now normally they say you see something and then you contemplate. They're impermanent or and then you don't get attached to what you see. This is also okay if you didn't manage to see, didn't manage to avoid, I mean. If you really avoid, it removes your the you could say it protects you from the externalizing, and it helps you to increase your samadhi, concentration. And this samadhi means you're getting more tranquility of mind. With tranquility mind, you get, there's a possibility of getting deeper realization, deeper insight. Because this, if you practice, it's a low, it's a broken virtue. You able to, because you see means you'll enjoy it. You notice it even, it's a flower, you notice it's a flower, it's already, you have, I call them who have been shot already. So that's another perfect practice where you learn not to experience it at all. It becomes a virtue, a sila. When you don't experience it, that becomes a sacrifice. So these are basic preliminaries I'm talking, but when you, for me, this path is a solid path. If you do those steps properly, I'm sure you can't avoid enlightenment. Enlightenment has to be a must. So this is called in the text the Indriya Sangvara. They say the crores of virtue monks practice. This practice. Kotiyak Sangvara Sila. This is called Indriya Sangvara Sila. So this is something you can train if you want to really develop meditation. And then the other one is called Iriyapate. Iriyapate is the one that, like I told you, without getting tired, how you move your body. When you're driving, you feel what you're going through, properly you feel it, and bring the attention to the present moment. Where you really feel, you notice. The seat may be, the thing you're holding, whatever, washing, water may be. Now it's a nice thing, water touching your hand when you're washing, when the water, whatever you really, that you feel properly. Then you gather mental energy. Sometimes you may have to plan, you have to do something, but okay, plan. And you don't have to plan all the time. It's just a moment you look at the plan, and then you come back to the present moment. And when you do like that, that's one. And Bhojana Matanyo, other one is called actually controlling of food. Now food is also a big issue for this practice, because two sources of loss of energy mainly. You can see Buddha has given rules to these two. You can see two things in our body. One is the tongue and the sexual organ. You can see it's similar with red nerves and so on. So if you don't control these two, nothing happens on this spiritual path. I don't know in the western part of this world whether I but I'm sure there are matured people who are really seriously coming. I told you we are commando monks, really you come to bash and go to enlightenment, or I not come to sort of, what do you call it? So I hope I will not look suffocating to all of you. Anyway, this is these two. You can see the rules why he has given these two parts. So food is another one. Now I explain the other way also. I will tell you this part also because I talk about these two. I normally say marriage is also like becoming a monk. How boring that person is, you just stick to that person. You understand? That's a big meditation. Because it protects you. Sometimes you might think, this is not all the people who get this relation, they always find the partner is not perfect. Because my friend, they always think, unless they get this wisdom. I think you'd have heard this story, I have told so many times, there's a book written about how to find a perfect husband. No?
Yes.
I think this. Shall I tell you all? Because most of you don't know maybe, right? You may find this book very soon, with you it's too late. This book, they say, how to find a perfect husband, I think now it's out, I think. You might have to check, right? So one day, I think recently somebody went, I think, right, to get this book very quickly. And he actually went and asked, he couldn't find it. And he told the storekeeper or whatever, where's that book, or bookkeeper, where's that book written, how to find a perfect wife? And he said, fiction section. Yes, it's a fiction. This can never be achieved. So when you know like that, it's a protection. In the olden time, there's wisdom, my friends. You just feel something, to something, you just go to that, this, that. You're draining energy and you're making karmas, you're making so much. I was actually brought up in South Africa, I don't know. You must be. Now there's another part of southern Africa in Lesotho. And there only this particular spiritual thing started. I was interested in physics. Physics brought me to this. Physics not directly brought me, but it was parts of it while I was thinking of religion. Because I was so thirsty to know what was going on. And at the age of 18, I had this experience of, certain, which I can only relate to previous lives. And that also changed my mind, my life. One thing I gave up for becoming a monk was cricket. I was so attached. Now coming to England is a bit like a, people I see bats sometimes, inside them, but okay, I said forget about it. So that's the place, but in those schools and everywhere, it was very bad. If you didn't fall into their kind of, like Friday they have a disco, college disco and school disco and high school disco, then if you don't, I was the one, I think I would be the one who really wanted to go to that disco. But I was so shy to ask my father, because my father will wonder what is he up to, because I knew what was going on. My friends used to come and, they used to talk. So I was very, so this kind of course, the Western culture, you have all this, so shyness protected me, tell you honestly. Shyness really protected me. Otherwise, I would have wanted to be a monk, but so much things I have put into in action. So that's why I say when you get married or a relationship, you stick to that. It will help you to, create less karmas and create more tranquility. Tranquility and pressure is a different thing. So otherwise, even at the age of 80, you'll have your marriage, I have heard aged homes, like you have this is who are working there, they have told me in Australia, maybe I'm sure same here, and that, they are trying to find, the body is old, but, the mind is still working. In that particular thing, it has not cleared. It's not that something wrong, that training has not been got, that fantasy is not been removed, the consciousness is not purified. There's a process to it. You can't go to the shower and purify it. It purifies, there's a shower of faith, shower of mindfulness, shower of analyzing, wisdom. With that shower and that process, it gets purified. It doesn't take long. After 1 week, there will be an effect. There's nice order, nice smell will go around you. That means a beautiful personality, a charming thing will emanate from you. You will become so loving to people, or attractive to people. I mean, to get love from people is also another. So if you give love and you really sacrifice you'll be getting it. I tell my mother I'm a great lover, I used to tell her. Because every place I go, I have these groups, of course, but I don't attach to anyone. I bless and give my really something and go. And that is, of course, something unconditional. So this is something, marriage is like becoming a monk. Okay, now you understand. Now the other one, the way I see is, ideal situation is, now this is another thing, a challenge you can try. Other thing is to create a child. This is my standard. So first, one has to overcome certain perversions and so on. You have to understand, I told you about NoFap and things like that. So this you can't, you have to fill your life with the other practices of opening up other than the reptilian brain, the other special part of your brain, you start to open up, more function. And you get that inner happiness, the inner, I call the happiness of the mad people. I mean the mad, you laugh for no reason. That laugh will come because of that inner lightness. That is inside purified, otherwise you find that long face, what's the reason? Why do you complain this and that? It's not the outside is something wrong. You are not pure enough. If there's purity, you will never see things negatively. You will always, you'll be having an attitude, you have a very super attitude. You see things always in a way where I don't lose energy. Now this group I didn't feel like, I don't know why, maybe you are in a better state. I always tell now, even my 2013-14, these are to create gems. You know that these difficulties come, problems come to bring out certain potential in you. Like in rugby, when you're coming close to the try line, they jump and they catch you, and so like that obstacles coming means you're very close to Great achievement. So when you have obstacles, my friends, and there are like even failures, more you fail is better in something. There's something about one story, like about this, a true story, about a surgeon who found the way to, separate in appendicitis there's a nerve that when it's cut, the patient is to die. So he found a technique from Bangalore. He found a technique to separate that nerve. So it was named after him, I think, something. So he's one person, a doctor, who has failed the MBBS 4 times. So my friends, if you pass first time, that, sorry?
He become a good doctor.
Yeah. So actually, if you pass first time, it may be some luck or some chance. You don't master the subject, but you fail so many times, you master the subject. My brother is also someone like that. He didn't fail because he was so unlucky, and I think he's now a very strong person in that. It's true. Now even life, if you fail in so many things, you'll be a master of life. And in normally every story, my friends, we see the famous part and all that, right? We don't see, if you look at the reality of the person, there are so much tragedy, so much difficulties the person has gone through. Only thing, he has not identified much with that, and he has continued. And there is nothing you can get really. So this is something I want to explain. So I told you about sense control. The other one, the food. The second control is that, so even if you're married, this is very important. If you're really sticking to a marriage is one thing, and then using it to purify your soul, you came to become enlightened. You didn't come to just, that is the purpose. You're using this as a vessel. This you must understand. And if you are single, you must remain restrained. You must use this, all the energies, not lose it, and use it for. So this is very important. Other one is food, my friends. Food is equally draining one's energy. I tell in India especially, now they are very concerned about being non-veg. I mean, eating non-veg is like a crime there. So I tell them normally like chutney is more damaging than non-veg. Chutney, now in your country, I don't know, here they said ketchup. In some Lanka way, they call it lunumiris, and all that. The taste of the food. More the taste is very interesting, the tasting strongly, it opens up the reptilian brain, even thinking of food. So one day I had to, pass through a restaurant in Sri Lanka. I was walking by that, and suddenly the smell of this thing was coming. And so we have a practice actually. There are a lot of traffic, a lot of cars, and normally we close our mouth and breathe through our nose so that we don't get the pollution. So there the smell of this food was coming. And then we have a practice. I told you about cutting that, the sense contact, the sense control. So I was cut, what did I do? I was trying to cut it, but then it was coming like this. So then I started the smell was coming, so I started to breathe through my mouth, because the carbon dioxide is better than the smell coming and touching. You understand? There's more toxin, the desires coming than the physical one. But the problem is when I was breathing through my mouth, I don't know, these cookies are very specialist, it was still coming. Then I closed my mouth also. Now the thing is, when you shut down like that, your reptilian brain is not working. Then you can analyze. Now there is a fantasy about food. Now I must go back to that. What is this? Now you see, like for example, food, and you take women or men, it's the look and the perfume to cover the reality of the body in a gross way. And for food also, it's the smell and the picture of food. Now in those restaurants, they don't put a picture of what is in the toilet, isn't it? I mean, they don't have, maybe a meditator's restaurant. To help you, they will have this picture, of in the morning, all black and blue. I mean, not blue, black and this thing. So but this is something, the reality. But we create the fantasy around it. It's same with the perfume. You put the perfume and now if you get another smell, my friend, entirely a different picture of the body, the reality of the body you get. Now even eating, you look at another person eating, you see the real picture of it. You yourself eating, when you get intoxicated with that consciousness, that feelings, you lose the reality, the mud that you're munching. So I'm going to this practice, my friends. This is something, if you really, in Australia when I did this, these people, they really did it. And then what happened to them, the stress, one lady, she came one time, and I will come to that she came to me, and she told Bante, I only heard from the husband was using the cell phone and she was hearing it. And then she came, what happened to her, because she was facing stress and all that, and suddenly she was feeling that sort of anxiety, some symptom she was having, anxiety syndrome or something, I don't know, she told me. And then she said, I don't have it now, Bante. And I'm now going, normally my supervisor is coming. Normally when I'm going, I feel, hypertension and gastritis and all that, but I don't have that. Because immediately you cut from that loss of energy. You see the entire thing gets repaired immediately. So what happened now, when I passed there, that the fantasy is there about food in the restaurant. So what you do is, you go back, now these are satipatthana, have you heard of it? The mindful meditation, the Buddha explains that mindful meditation is to bring wisdom. This is a type of meditation which brings wisdom and enlightenment. So, the prerequisite for that is your brain must be not having the reptilian brain working. It is like a small vessel with water, filled with dye, all types of colors. Can you see your reflection? No. If the water is bubbling, can you see your reflection? It's anger? You can't. The dye is equated to sensual desires. Bubbling is equated to irritation and anger. And the muddiness is like, worry and fear. And doubt, another one, 5. These are the ones connected with the reptilian brain. When you're free, normally when you have tranquility, peace of mind, then this brain gets slowly, the reptilian brain gets shut down. So now when I avoid the smelling of the food from the restaurant, and I'm keeping covered from the reptilian brain, and then going back to the thinking one to see what this food is really. So if I had even a slightest inner desire to sort of go to the restaurant, and of course as a monk I can't definitely go, but even if I had it, I wish I was a layman, I went, that will go away. Especially when I picture the vanity of it, how it is prepared, that all can be sort of pictured, and what is the end result of that, and a short while the pleasure you are getting. And when you look like that, you see that any fantasy you had, it will be broken. So these are practices you can try. This might look a little bit this thing, but if you do try, in your evening meditation, yoga, whatever, you'll find some different result. And you can try 1 week, 2 weeks, at least try it for 2 weeks. You have to give it a go. If it's not working, leave it. Don't have to follow anything blindly. So this is something, these are called Charya Dharma, spiritual lifestyle. Now this is a question why monks are, they say they read in the book so many times, going for talks, why you are not getting the spark enlightenment? The reason you don't have a spiritual lifestyle. The way you walk, you must walk the spiritual walk. Spiritual is also not a nice word, I think. Peaceful walk, stress-free walk, energizing walk. Somebody told me once, Bante, you walk like this, like the small children also, how the small children have very much similar to, because they are carefree, no tension, and they keep their first, like tick, tick, tick. This like, they have nothing to, the driving force is not there. It's nice, that very similar to yogis, how their life is. And the eyes also, black and white, it's very, this thing. It's not getting, the soul is getting clearer and clearer. Or later on it gets dirty, of course, for a child when they grow up. Now, I will just go for a question, and then we'll see what I can do. The end part, I will tell you what, see. Any question you like to ask now? I've been talking. I know some of you some of you don't see me at all. Do you have a screen or something there? No, no. They never imagined to have a screen, no? You see. I'll make sure that...
I have to leave now, Bante.
Okay. Just 1 minute.
I have to leave now.
I will give you some blessing. I think you came for the programs, no? Before you came, no? You are, okay, don't worry. Understand. I told about you can read. The books you can read. If anyone have to go, just come near me. I want to just give small blessings and I will send you away, right? The small present from me. So, but in the end, I am giving it to all of you. It's not easy when I have talked and... Did I give that some aushadha? No?
Did he give you some aushadha,
No.
some medicine? Medicine, did he give you anything? Yes?
No, I don't think.
No.
Tomorrow, maybe after Pindapata, something that I made in Himalayas, that you have time. If you have time, you can tell her later, right?
Okay.
I have to shout, no? Wait. So, any question? Yes.
Bante, you said about 4 things that are conducive to concentration. One, as I remember, is...
Nice word is relaxation, I think.
Yes. You mentioned 4 things that are conducive to concentration. The first one you mentioned was, I think, to do with Indriya Samvara.
Yes.
Second one, Iriyapata. The third one, Bhojanamajjata or...
Bhojanamatanyo, control of food.
The fourth one, Bante,
No, that other one is sleep. Oh yeah, I couldn't tell, yeah, sleep.
okay, Bante. Could you kindly sort of give us some sort of a reference or like a place where we could read more about those four?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't want you to listen to me, and this is called Ganaka Mukalla, an accountant who spoke to the Buddha and asked whether there's a training process in his Buddha, like accountancy also you have like gradually 1 plus 1, you teach like that slowly. And then you go on to higher accounting, okay? So same way, do the training in the Buddha's training have a gradual process? He questions this. Then he explains. Now this is explaining so many other sutras also. Now when Buddha explains like that, that shows that pupil is not having enough, he's also stressed out pupil, like us maybe. So then he teaches that part. And when they train that and when they get enough tranquility and peacefulness in their daily life, then only that he will teach the analyzing part for self-realization. Because he doesn't jump into just giving those things, because just if the mind is not matured or prepared, it will not get those visions. Now normally we are also in a hurry. We try to get this understanding through maybe Abhidharma and all analyzing and so much. But my friends, I demonstrated before, that time when they cut the hair, people got enlightened. When the cutting of the hair, when the hair was, that moment, the monk, it's not a very deep thing. The experience is deep. But the methodology or this thing is very simple, only it needs a degree of purity. When you lack that purity and prematurely you try, then your thinking becomes perverted also. Because you become more intellectual, you want like some kind of, immediate, and you distort the real purpose or the real direction, you get diverted. So that's why I'm just trying this in this practice. You go basically, you learn to drive, the thing, remove the addictions in your life. So one by one, when you're doing like that, you're building up, then you read the original teachings. It may be one verse that will trigger that insight. That triggering is a simple... Now normally, for me in South Africa, I told you, I don't know, when I was going for walks, I was going walk in the fields, just walking, and then suddenly, this is how I tell you to do. තියෙනවද අමාරුවක් හරි? Anything? මේ මොන හරි අමාරු දුක එකක් තියෙනවද? එහෙම නැද්ද? මොන හරි ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා මම හෙට පිටපාතෙන් පස්සේ මම හෙට විතරයි ඉන්නේ මේ පැත්තට බර්මින්හම්. හෙට පිටපාතෙන් පස්සේ මොන හරි දෙන්න තියෙන දෙයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒලයි කතා කරලා. නැතිනම් තවන්සික ආශිර්වාද දෙනවා කවද? දුකෙන් මිදෙන්න. Thero සම්මයි. So, yes. Yes.
You spoke about Indriya Samvara, that self-realization, and for all these things you talk about the mind. So where is this mind to control? How do we control the mind? Because everything comes from the mind.
Yes.
How do we do that?
You
We have
see,
to find the mind to do that.
But consciousness, without being conscious, you can't call conscious is better word. You become conscious of something. Without consciousness, you don't even know you have a body even. I'll say your unconscious state, you don't know, you don't get an idea that you have even a body, right? So now we have the brain. Brain is the organ.
So you think that the mind is in the brain?
I see it like this, like you have the 6 sense organs.
Yeah, so all the 6 senses are controlled by the mind.
It's not a single organ, it is conditionally arising. You have the eye, for example, an object, and then there's eye consciousness. Brain has its function. Brain has is like bringing the other information and sort of, it has another type of storage, another type of plane that is functioning. But the same thing is happening. The brain and that is called objects, they have a brain consciousness, I would call it. Okay? And from there it gives the sort of recognize, gives some information for processing from the 5 senses. You understand?
Yeah.
So,
Who
but
recognizes?
Huh?
Who recognizes?
the thing is this question, you must see how the you or I comes, the idea. For example, now say you're seated, right? And how do you feel numb in your leg or anywhere?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Say when you feel numb, there's no blood flow, there's no feeling. Even if you don't see from your eyes also your leg, you get a feeling, you get an idea like whether the leg is there. You get a feeling like that. So you can see the idea of I comes associating feeling. If without feeling and wrong attention, if you have proper attention and seeing what it is really, you'll begin to, if you see like that, if you get knowledge of it, you see, because for example, if you don't have feelings whatsoever, the sense is a sense of I will not come. There's no possibility for it to come. It associates, now in moment of consciousness, mainly the feeling.
Yes, so you say that the I is creating the problem. Where is this I? Who is I?
So that let us now practice and see. We have to actually keep watching. Watching means observing. And then now for example, I tell you like you take food. Say you touch the tongue, you eat while you're eating. And when the tongue is touching that particular food, you get the consciousness comes. You recognize it as maybe chocolate, maybe ice cream or something. So while that stuff is touching that, you're getting that feeling. And when that stuff is no more touching, the feeling also disappears or cease to exist. Now when you're observing like that, how it comes, so you're not enjoying the food only, you're observing the actual process of consciousness taking place, how it arises and actually pass away. When you're mindfully observing like this, then the idea of, now if you don't observe, you will feel I am feeling. The I comes more because you are not you're not seeing it properly, plainly. Now when you begin to notice plainly, there's no question, you're not imagining there's no self. You're coming out of imagination and illusion, And you begin to see plainly what is going on.
So that means the feeling is the thing that we create all these Indriya Samvara and everything.
Indriya Samvara is a preliminary step to get a stronger mind, to separate from these entanglements, that you get the power of investigation and analyzing in a stronger way. So you get more samadhi and all that. This is not connected with the direct yoniso manasikara or enlightening practices. No. I'm talking about basic. So because if you don't do the base, to make sure that you really do those things as a daily routine practice, and you will get this, that next time when you're sort of going through Buddha's teachings, that you will actually get a very powerful experience. To clear that path only, yeah, it's good, I like, sorry. Very nice white.
The question of mindfulness is now spreading in the West.
Right.
I have attended a few classes. Right. Is it really important that you are conscious of it until you go to sleep from the time you wake up? And does it cause a lot of strain on the mind?
Does it cause a lot of strain?
Yes, yes.
Strain, huh?
Yeah.
That is practicing mindfulness?
Practicing mindfulness.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. So when you practice it, you must be conscious of it all the time?
No. Yeah, I understand. This mindfulness is used, it's there in every aspect of our life. Of different types of mindfulness is also there. Okay? This, but generally it goes with any kind of, coherent experience. You have mindfulness always behind it. So, but mindfulness is only one out of the 5, I will tell you now. There are 5 faculties in our brain. Opposite to the reptilian brain, the special brain has faith, one faculty. Then other one is mindfulness, sati, samadhi. Other one is samadhi and panya. This is the main one, and panya means wisdom, and virya, effort. Now they are also interrelated and interconnected. Now the enlightenment happens in the balance of these 5. Understand? So mindfulness is just one. So you must know which mindfulness the Buddha is talking here, which you must develop. Not the car racing mindfulness or going into some robbery. You also have mindfulness. This mindfulness is to develop wholesome, that means mental tranquility. So this what I take normally for practice, very easy. You take the mindfulness in these 5 indriyas, normally when you're going to the toilet, when you're walking, the one I'm talking about, how before I talked about, like noticing your immediate actions, then you're seeing the bodily posture, how it is working. That is the one which will be very helpful for these other factors to develop also. So just to feel what you're going through. And when you're really restful, you will be noticing your breathing also. That is, then you know you have come to the proper standard of the present moment. That mindfulness. So when you go to the toilet, when like you're urinating, you can also go further, how when it was in that space, in the body, how you felt the idea of you, your urine. And when it went out and when it mingled, went into the water, how this conceptualizing takes place. This is very important. Now I'm very interested in this topic. Because this is where we begin, when you think and observe like this, the Buddha breaks away the conceptualizing and really sees plainly, and then only you begin to know the idea of self is a concept. There's no really, so to break that, to separate that, he gives, there's a whole, plainly, you don't complicate too much. Now he says about the 5 elements, like hardness here, hardness there, is same. Just to get, those days there was no electrons and all this way of explaining. That is a more finer way of explaining the material world. But the other way is good enough. As nature, just hard nature and hard of outside, it's just a hardness. And liquid nature, fluidity, your saliva, blood, is the fluid. And the river or a tap, the water that flows, then you have to sort of perceive that mentally. Where you just begin to see, because it's in this space, I get the idea. And you have enough tranquility that plain truth becomes, in a cave or in a solitary life, you begin to see these things. And that's the type of vision that you're trying to, because the suttas are telling very simply like that. Now if you want to get other explanations, you're going not into an experience of it. You're more going into a verbalizing an experience, which is going to an infinite zone. The experience go to an infinite zone. Even the samadhi, now if you talk about samadhi, having no thoughts, this also goes to an infinite zone. Infinite zone, infinite area of consciousness. That's why it's called achintya. You can't think about it, you experience it. If someone explains samadhi, he's not experienced it. That's why I say who explains also a lot of this doctrine in terms of the technical, the sutras and all that. Even sutras also, I don't want now, I might be a little revolutionary here, but that means they are not understood that. And if they have understood it, they'll point out now, my teachers actually, they used to tell to read this sutta, that sutta. They will not explain much as I do also. And you could know that when you are reading that and just plainly taking that as your instruction and this thing, you get an experience. But you have to have patience, you have to be humble enough to see the groundwork where you are not treating your wife properly or you're having, now many ask, now they ask this question, how to develop mindfulness. So sometimes I tell, first step is for that, pay your loans. Then sometimes like this kind of answer, because I see that like you have to, like they think that just having the mindfulness alone will know. You must harmonize with your environment around you, where you're staying, with which people you're staying. That is first step. Then you have the sort of peaceful mental environment for you to start these other steps of mindfulness. Or not to think negatively about somebody, you know. So these are important but very interesting to take away the... Do you have a scissor? Anyone? Is it freshly bought for me or was it there already? Oh, I'm very lucky. I don't know how it's... So I want to just give you some idea. I'm going to be a barber now. Anyway, yesterday... I don't think the people in the hall, they are not seeing, no? Don't worry. You all are not seeing this. Wait. I'm going to take some hair from someone who wants to donate to me. Okay? And do you want? Okay, come. You have a nice tie, sir. And we cut it from where nobody will see, only clothes will see, right? No. How much you feel this is like you? Just, I'm honestly asking an answer. I mean, you feel very much like it's your hair. Now, if someone do something like this in the street or something, you get angry, right? Why do they, you know? Now, you feel this like you? I'm touching you, part of you. And what about this? Do you feel you also in this? Or less you, or no you at all now? No me at all. Okay, so fast it became no me. So this scissors is your wisdom. You cut, you take away. Now you can just understand. Now he was very honest actually. Very plain, he put it something, some people just try to, it's very correct. Very much with you here. Now some people also tell, I feel a little bit me here still. Doesn't, you see the identification goes so much. No, he's quite good, you know, he's really, you can take it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the explanation.
So this mindfulness and dissecting, getting wisdom to cut away from this particular, you separate. Now this has to be done from your own mind, where it's an exercise, that's why the hard nature, like that you see, and you see how flesh, blood and all these sinews and all that put together, make the idea, this is me. But if you take them apart mentally as an exercise, now when I have done in the programs this practice, I find that now I must tell you the practical point of it, this is what I expect. Some of the wives, you know, when the husband was scolding them when they were in the kitchen, they are not reacted back. It's just a vibration, and this is like not my ear, not my sound. Now this I'm serious, this is my practice, how it should really, then you don't react. I'm sure no one is going to scold you after that. This happened to me as a young boy, when I came from South Africa and I was practicing. I used to practice a lot actually. What I read in the suttas, I was to put into my daily life. So I tell this story all the time. What happened, there was one auntie who used to get very angry. She was hot-tempered, right? So I had to get pocket money from this auntie when I was in Colombo, in Sri Lanka. So for my grandma's place, when I went there, she took me once to see the tooth relic. So she had passes and all that, and we went directly. So those days also, it was my initial stages. I used to get some things intuitively, and I had to I don't ask any elders. I would say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So I suddenly got the thought to go again to see that tooth relic, but in the line, this huge line, and those days LTT problems and bombing here and there. So I told my auntie, I'm going to go to see the tooth relic again. And she went on scolding, right? So that time I have been reading, that previous day I have been reading about the Mahahastipada Sutra. That is about the elements and how, like your body is not you, it is like, taking it apart like this. And then the consciousness, you can't arise without a body. If the body is not you, how can the consciousness be you? So these things you have to mentally picture. This is an exercise. So I was doing already that. And when she was shouting, I was having that mental picture of the Dhamma. And when I was doing like that, I didn't react, of course. She looked at me, finished. And then this was the first and the last time she scolded me. So normally, my friends, actually, if you really practice this, the world will be starting to change around you. Because you scolded in the past, you're getting scolding environment. So praising, both are same. Now sometimes they put flowers when I'm going on arms round. This was in West Berlin. So when I saw the flowers, I suddenly saw, also there could be thorns, there could be glasses. Some good karma is happening, but I should not use the good karma to destroy myself. Don't get caught with that praise and this thing. So we have a practice. So to watch that as just you don't feel it actually. So because there are some places when jealousy and anger in Sri Lanka, we notice some monks are going, they have put glasses. So that is due to their bad karma ripening, then this will happen. So you should not get pricked by the roses and you should not get pricked by the glasses. Both. Getting angry or averse is getting pricked. Getting attached to and feeling, that you're feeling that, experiencing that, is also getting pricked. That equanimity, this is all poison, both ways, and you don't enjoy it, you don't experience it. So this is something, but to do that, you have to bring, this is the purpose of the teachings. It's okay. Yeah, you can wish you good luck and strength, peace of mind. I don't know people in the can you show them this to the crowd there who can't see me? This hair. Just he will show lock of hair. This thing. Just take it, the person is not there now. Okay? You separate it. I was just telling them how you feel the sense when it's in your space and you separate it, but that should be done mentally. So this you can do more if you have tranquility, my friends. If you try to get an experience of it in a different form, more and more, you distort the practice. Before, when the hair was cut, the monks happened to get the insight. So the insight is something, so this is, insight is so simple, but it's so profound. You have to have, that's why when you should read some of these texts and just go for a walk and apply it. Another one story I must tell, and maybe we are coming to the end slowly, because this might help you all in great stress and all that, because I faced this. I worked for 2 years as an auditor. This is because again my father, he wanted me to do this when I was 20 like that, 25. And I used to meditate because I know that if I meditate in the office, I will not come back to the office next life. Because I will be replacing that consciousness from that. Now I tell here also, if you want to come to England again, don't meditate. And go to all the bars and everything, you are sure to be, you don't need visa also here. Because you'll be born as a spirit here, maybe in Soho, Soho, yes. I don't know why I'm telling this, maybe it will hit some people. Because ghosts don't need visa passport. So if you have too much attachment to something, my friends, if you don't clear, you are getting the consciousness goes like that. That's how rebirth takes place. It's in the mind. It's not a body that goes. Once there was a question asked, how to prove rebirth. Now it's a very nice, luckily that monk was a special monk, he was asked this question by the audience because of materialistic world, least thing understood in this modern world is consciousness. It is still felt that some neurons or something, that trying to understand through that. It's called the hard question. In the scientific world, it's called, but consciousness is well understood in the Eastern wisdom. And this monk was once asked by one person, how to prove rebirth. Now rebirth happens, it's the idea of how the consciousness moves. Come on. I know my programs are very long, Always it goes to like 3 hours. I can't try to stop quickly. Wait. මොනවද ගැටලු මොනවද තියෙනවද? විශේෂ ගැටලු මොනවද නැද්ද නිකන් ආශිර්වාදයක් ගන්න වගේ ආවද? කොහොමද මම තෙරපි මැට්‍රියල්ද වඩින්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා අනිවාර්යෙන් මතක් කරනවා ඒ කියපු කට්ටිය අධිෂ්ඨාන කරනට අන්තිමට සතුටින් යන්න ලැබෙන්න. තෙරුවන් සරණයි. තෙරුවන් සරණයි. කොම්පටක් චුට්ටක් කොම්පටක් සත්‍ය දුක ධාතුක මානසික මහා It's okay. So, it's called the hard question. So, this consciousness. So, when they ask this particular, monk, how to prove rebirth? Because the body is not rebirth, you to see, body is not going to a next life like the mummies in Egypt or somewhere. They are taking them to the west, the unknown part of the Sahara. It's actually, West means they have, the Western something, they take the bodies in there, so they mummify it and all that. But here, my friends, the rebirth is, who can see consciousness, the ancient rishis, saints, they also saw this rebirth. Then the idea, you begin to see the entire another mechanism of existence. You see, begin to know karma. Edgar Casey, because some of you maybe, I don't want you to believe all these things also blindly. I am not a person, I never imagined I'll be a monk today. Many years ago, I wanted to be a scientist. Those days, one of my main heroes were like Einstein. I liked him very much and the way, but finally, this brought me to another. So I don't say you must get a clear world picture. So this Edgar Casey, if you go through, very interesting. He used to sort of diagnose people, go into an unconscious state, and he used to see karma. How karma is, there's one lady in New York, who have problems, like to me, a lot of people who come where there's no solution anywhere, and they come, and then she had another problem, and but she was very spiritual also. To see she was, in one birth, she has been a nun and she was using her hand for cosmetics or something, to sell for jewelry. Her hand was so beautiful. So that was shown, and then for advertisements, this was used. So to see she was a nun in the previous life, and she has cleaned the toilets with faith and with great, faith and without any feeling of repulsion. That state of attitude, that mental attitude brought her that beauty. So there are so many other case studies, very nice to go through that. It gives you an idea. So whoever has seen consciousness, they will see this rebirth and karma and all these things. So my friends, now this person was asked this question, how to prove rebirth, and in that he tells, can you picture a flower? Wish you good luck. Just stand up a little bit. Wish you good luck. Have strength of mind. And all best wishes for this practice. Out of all body and fear. If you can keep silent when you go, that will be quite good. Okay. Then he asked how to prove. Then he said, can you picture a flower? Then the person, he pictured one flower. He said, what is the flower you pictured in your mind? Because he said, rose or something like that. And he said, can you prove that you were picturing a rose flower? Yeah. So this consciousness, my friends, you can't, it's not seen something like that where you can see so there the rebirth happens in that you have the last thought. It happens mostly in the mental realm, the last object is necessary for consciousness to always arise. So there's a very interesting way how the Arahant, how the rebirth is not taking place, where you have no focus anywhere because of no desire. But this I don't want to explain to intellectual function too much to give you knowledge. But there is a very interesting how when you read the suttas, Buddha is bringing you to that, where he is removing every conditioning of consciousness. And that's the whole target, the goal, where you are not going to be born. Only those enlightened ones consciously die. They don't die, they see the function stopping. The last breath, they are the only ones who are conscious. All others, they get distracted by an object. And that object becomes a footing, cause that the reason for distraction, there is karma to take place. And that's why the object also comes, the distracting thought and the distracting mind, both together, and it has the conditions for consciousness to arise. But this is some deep aspect here. I don't want to go into it now. All this clearing and all that, and if you practice, this is the purpose, so that you don't get distracted by anything, by your child, by your family. When you're meditating, you must come to that level. Then only you're safe, my friends. There's no point doing all these things if you don't have developed that standard of practice. There's no guarantee that you will be going to... I had, now in the modern day, I don't know, my great-grandmother, she was practicing very much. And when the son died, she didn't even go. When he was dying also, she didn't even go there. She was not even having any single teardrop even. She was actually, then she used to light the lamp and then have the japamala and just be focused there. And she used to tell my mother, this is how, daughter, how you practice Navasivike. I don't know, have you heard in that meditation? 9 stages of body disintegrating. Now my friends, the attachment comes to children or anybody, a body. I always tell somebody, you don't fall in love in somebody even who you have not seen or heard before. After seeing and hearing the sound, and the attachment starts to come to that. So I tell parents also sometimes, the child, if they die, they are reborn somewhere. You don't want that child, child that was reborn. You want that same person, the same picture, you're attached to that picture. So I can see why my great-grandma, when the son was dying, she has already cleared that illusion. She has not nourished with memory. She has seen that picture is a transient thing, it's not the real thing. Then the idea of sun is falling, I'm getting that, but it's not real, it exists only to me. But something existing only to me like that, for my sister is not, to the aunt is not the son, then to the wife of the son is not son, is the husband. So how this consciousness is not really you. This is something you have to, so it's by cleansing from all these illusions. So this satipatthana or mindful meditation finally leads you to that. And the other thing I must tell you, I will come quickly to the last point that I normally come. How many hours now? We have passed 2 hours. Okay. So you come to this. Huh?
I have a question. While meditating, do we actually concentrate on one thing? I mean, like your breath, if you like, and at the same time, sort of analyze your thoughts, the thoughts you...
I normally suggest we need some kind of spiritual, I call it Milo. You have Milo here? I don't know, in this part of the world. Milo, or what is the famous one? Ovaltine. Ovaltine, okay. Okay. When I was small, I used to have Ovaltine. My father used to bring, okay. Ovaltine is there here. I thought today, this modern day, we need some spiritual Ovaltine. Why? We are sort of, malnourished. That certain devotion, that faith, something that opens our heart, that we have a tear coming. It's so dried up, and the mindfulness we are introducing, it makes it more dry. You understand? You must have, but I am talking about a super mindfulness. To bring that, you must bring that certain, so the energize, certain inspiration. So I normally say, like, it could be even some song or some sound that you learn to become sort of imaginative. That they are like, now in Sri Lanka I say, Mohidin Beg is Sindhu Akhari. The song of Mohidin Beg, is about a devotional song. Just for the idea I'm telling, some chanting or something, just to give the initial push.
Yeah.
My teacher used to tell me little bit to do that before meditation, but today we need to do a lot. Because we need that energy, a push, a drive. So I have ways of inspiring myself. Now before coming here also, I'm now busy schedule, but there are certain techniques I do, which also I inject myself with that steroids, I would call it. And I'm not telling you to do it all the time, just do that to give the pickup. And that is our Bambalapitiye, it is called. Thinking of the Buddha, you get that sort of intoxicating or uplifting tranquility from that.
Can you give me an example of what do you do to...
You have to find something which brings a tear out of okay, I will tell you now, say we are going arms round. Now we have to face all sort of sounds. Suddenly disco music is going on, okay, that heavy metal, the beat. So how I would imagine that sound? I would imagine it as the ancient saints marching. You understand? Now sometimes there will be a romantic music going on, something about a love song. Then I would change it to that tone I will take, and I would change it to like it's a kind of imagination. Make your meditation tasty. This is something we lack. We only play this. So sometimes our mind also gets completely dried when we have exhausted our energies by certain addictions also. So this is where I have now told before, where when you remove little bit one by one, and then that heart begins to get some strength to get those particular taste. So that certain devotion, you can chant some chanting of Pirit, not a boring one, change it to another one. And day by day, so you keep pumping that spiritual energy, that not to do only that, just to give you a push. And after that, I would recommend compassion meditation. It's very good. And but all this you must do with the other practices of resting in the seat or resting when I will do that now also. How you meditate now, you should have a clear forehead. If you have like this inner stress, maybe even to listen to Bante, even if you have some stress too, I want to understand him, it's still a stress, my friend. This should become this thing. You don't hold on to anything, you learn to let go. And I hope I would help you to let go more. And you physically you will find that these are basic practices where you increase that restfulness through this devotion or samadhi. You're increasing into tapping into deeper levels of relaxation. And if you have diseases and even now when you apply the sutras of analyzing, having mindfulness and seeing who you are, that is also leaving you to complete. If you're holding subtly into something, a certain sense of I even, that's the weight, the heaviness. And if you have got some clear picture, some picture is coming to you that there's no self here, it's a concept, you'll find it makes a big difference. It will just, you'll find another taste of lightness you will experience. And you'll find that you're still holding on to something. Now these things, my friend, I'm not talking theoretically. These are experienced things. I was in the jungle in 2004, going from jungle to jungle. And I was completely, fully damaged. I was walking the forest there and with leeches, I had to remove like this. And then, what was it? The other one was, like, there's a poison trees, which all, I had been whipped. And luckily I was found by certain dacoits, you could call it. But they are good people. They were so amazed to see I was in that jungle, but they looked after me. And, they're like I was trying to cut across to the other side. So deep in the jungle, they were surprised. And because of them, I survived also, because they gave me food. And when I was put to rest, I was in such pain. I was trying to use the samadhi to suppress that pain. And but when you have pain, especially in the head area, no samadhi is possible. I so getting distracted by the pain. Then I remembered my teacher, how he has told me how to memorize the striking suttas of contemplation, and how to we have learned to use it as like a GPS or a signpost to direct our attention. These words you must remember. To direct our attention, the suttas are used like that as a signpost to extend your mindfulness to comprehension, comprehensive mindfulness. So the mindfulness is to pay attention to what you're going on plainly. Then to analyze what you're going on is a second step, which brings wisdom about. That's why some say that Buddhism is the study of, it's like a phenomenology. It's a nice word, I think. It explains exactly. Buddha is actually, he explains how the causes of the phenomena, things to happen. How they happen by causes, cause effect. It's very scientific then. So this is actually, I hope this trend of words, because exactly I'm going through the practice you have to go through. First you pay attention to the moment, that is one. And then you study what you're going through, the cause of how it comes. The studying is an extension, that is the contemplative part. That contemplative part is expected by those suttas. The discourses where Buddha gives, normally when they listen one time, they had that vision. Now, so this sutta I remembered one, because I was helpless. I started to tell, I was so weak and in pain, I started to slowly tell it in Pali. Talk about the body, the feelings, the perceptions. He says, Vedana bhikkave anatta. The feeling is not you. Vedana chidam bhikkave atta. Why is it not you? Abadaya is subjected to affliction. Samvatteya. Labbeta cha vedana. You can't order the feelings. Evam me vedana hotu, evam me vedana ma ahositi. May the feeling be like this, may the feeling not be like this. That means may I have no pain, may I be free from pain, it won't obey my orders. Now it looks simple, but I had no other way, just I faced the pain I'm going through and applied this. And I was feeling, suddenly the pain was reducing. Then there's a second way to investigate. Like when I finished the sutta, I didn't feel pain at all, my friends. And I was wondering, the pain is still there, but I'm not feeling. So I was really thinking later on, what happened? I think this happened. Now, even though I am a forest monk, I have gone, left everybody, everything. Unconsciously, we are still clinging to this body and mind. So I think when I was reminded, and when my attention was paid, and then when the hold on to the body, because the idea of pain, the perception works with the clinging. If the clinging is there, the condition for the perception to work is absent. this is how I reasoned out. I was just wondering what happened. So I think that hold on to the pain was removed, and the feeling or the perception cannot function. Anyway, I was having so much faith, how much powerful this practice is there, then after that daily I'm sort of going to do this practice. This helped me also in Himalayas, Kailash, when I was about to face death. That just to watch that not Gnanaloka is dying, it's just a body that is just a happening of death. It's not a person there. So these are simple practices, my friends. If you can do that, this will be very yes.
I have a quick question. Can we?
Sati can be developed in day-to-day discipline life as well.
It must be. If you want to have no long face and do the work, mindfulness will help you. Like, then that you will not feel tired. That's the blessings of it. Like you will feel immediately you're sweeping, you're putting your clothes into the washing machine. You are observing the movements of your taking otherwise you're not going to think while putting the clothes into the washing machine, how am I going to cook the pie to my husband or wife? If you have that thought while doing that, you have it, okay, you do it, but you don't now going to think about it while you're carrying the clothes. So you learn to pay attention to those activities, and the strength of mind grows. Yes, it helps you, and you become more alert. It doesn't mean you're going to sort of, you do better those activities.
The question is like, can we attain Nibbana just by doing Anapanasati?
I wish we could have like that. I know you want a tablet, We'll see.
So that's no then. That's no. What is the sort of...
So, it's the answer you get the answer what I mean, right? We'll see, we are on the process of research. Maybe quickly I will find out that in Himalayas. And I can distribute and know all this. Something else?
So do you practice all the meditations in a day?
I have set of meditation. I have like a gearbox. I teach you also like first gear when I'm on first gear when I'm uphill, fourth gear when I'm smooth, like that. When you're practicing this very much, you learn to the situation. Now with the programs, I have a very entirely different practice.
So what are your favorites?
To see there's no ego, no person. I think that would be the best. It's the most powerful one. That there's no self. It brings self-realization. No, I can't say it's a favorite because I'm not doing it, but I think I would take it as the number one. I'm doing it, but I should be doing it more. That means going through the suttas, because in the Himalayas I've been neglecting that practice. Only when I'm in crisis, it has come to my help, because it's in my subconscious. And you understand, when I was a young monk, I did it very much. It was like part. Now it's coming back, I hope, in my discourses also. Because I don't know, maybe they're sensing the crowd, I bring this up. But then I go back to explaining the ground level, because I know it's a long, now the way I'm explaining, I know this is like you have to do a lot of things. I'm giving you tips to clear your life and so that you begin to have more restful state of life, and that will trigger this particular, now the way I have not practiced Anapanasati deep way. But I have a way of getting that knowledge through the Dhamma. All this have through analyzing. The wisdom is got by, it's called Yoniso Manasikara. That intuition is got by, but that is very easily done by the analyzing anything, any experience. But Anapanasati has its own way. But I don't know how, because you just watch the breath only, it develops only samadhi.
Yeah.
If you analyze with the samadhi, only you get the insight.
Yeah. But Swami answer, like, shouldn't you, if we are actually concentrating on sort of, if meditation and attaining sort of higher knowledge or higher sort of states is about samadhi and analyzing, shouldn't any of the meditations be able to sort of give us that? Because we are concentrating samadhi, we are knowing what we are doing, and at the same time going back and sort of seeing your thoughts when they sort of go away and so on.
Yeah, that level of practice also brings you some knowledge. But I have my personal experience. I see when there are times where mind is at a certain stage of tranquility, you get a very, because it should be life transforming. No point always practicing. Be careful. Have a peace of mind. All the strength of the practice. So my purpose is slowly there is a, because I see, you will see the Buddha, not from my, so I'm slowly coming, I think. Some of you maybe have to catch train and all that. So I will now quickly go to the blessings, okay? And one important point to tell you, your GPS, which you must make sure, now say, what is the purpose of all this meditation you want? Do you have some idea what you want to do? Something you have what is all this, to be relaxed in life or what? To have peacefulness, is that good enough only? You can do yoga and all these things also. I think this Buddha's mission is main thing is to know what this life is. Today is a very special day, my friends. I can feel this. It's a very special day. So, I'm sure in the night you will have more experiences. So anyway, what is the purpose of all this? This purpose is to know there's no purpose. Right? That's this thing, there's no purpose, and because in a dream, in a fantasy, there's no purpose in it. It's just, in illusion, no purpose. So, but not to say this now, saying is easy, but there has to be an inner vision of it. That's what all these practices come in. It depends. Now, my friends, the question comes to me in Berlin and all these places sometimes. They ask me, Bhante, why are you a monk? They think it's an easy question. When people ask, they don't see it's a process that led to that. The question comes to me, why are you not a monk? This is serious because I see why. The whole world is burning. You must now, jump out of this, but because you are in an intoxicated state and that realization is not, like you're holding a string and you find suddenly there is it's a snake. Is there a question of letting go? No. Because you don't have that much real knowledge. You have heard from discourses, you're reading in books, but it's not becoming a personal experience. If you did have, it will trigger this particular urgency. That the way a person has understood, one yardstick, one way to know is that there's no question of letting go. He'll be looking mad to the others. He'll be practicing such a way he looks like a madman, going to retreat after retreat. Because if you're not doing, that means you have not got any, it's just a superficial something, a repetition from some memory. So it will show, and the other thing is, when you really have some experience, there will be transformation. You'll be tranquil, there won't be hate speech, there won't be hate expression, this will get less at least. If it's the right practice, it will get less and less. I know once in Sri Lanka, some of the brother monks, some of them, they come to me and tell me what happened. So one day in the morning when I'm taking breakfast, they came to me and said, Bhante, one lady was there outside. She called me like this. It's disrespectful to call like this, to a monk. So, of course, it's good for a monk also to know not to expect respect. But anyway, they call like this. So, when then he said, and she was wearing shoes. So he said that, Bhante, I went to her and told, and she wanted to give some donation. And the senior monk was not there. So he said to the lady, please learn some manners. This monk causes. So then the lady, I don't know what happened. Anyway, He came to me, he said like that. Then I said, Venerable, it's okay, today all sort of people come to the monastery. Maybe she was having some mental problem or some trouble, she was not conscious. Or otherwise she's a person who doesn't know the protocols, or she never have come to the temples. But anyway, it's not good for monks to get angry also, I told him that. Then he told, no, sir, no, Bhante. I had no inner anger, it was only outside I expressed. I said, if you didn't get inner anger, if you really didn't get angry, it should not show outside also. Then he said, then he got to know something. With this monk, very interesting, many things come, like sometimes he would come. I'm also a visitor there. I'm staying like that. I'm having no permanent place, and it will be forever like that. How can you find permanent place as a monk? Anyway, he used to, he once told me, now there's another monk, he's coming and sort of making the toilet a bit this thing, and they're not cleaning and all that. So I used to tell, now, Venerable, I'm also a visitor here. When you came to this place, did you worry who is there and what they are doing? So you think always you are first day here. When you're first day every time, you don't make it your place. You don't make judgments. You do your thing and you don't notice that. And many things in our life we have to see like that, my friends. So, so where was I? We are going to stop slowly, quickly, otherwise you are going into my no man's zone. Did I explain? Sorry.
Bhante, what is the purpose of you going to Himalayas?
That's
Why cannot you practice here, with the people?
With the people?
Not going to Himalayas.
Okay, like Sri Lanka, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, we have forest and all that. Yeah. It's a good question. It's a common question, and I have answer always. It's a old question. Yeah, truly, I'm not going to see Nibbana or anything. It's easy for me. I think I am going there to retrieve my spiritual treasures from the past. This is how I see my weapons.
Is it not like an attachment? You are going...
Correct. It is, I would say so. But I have a dream. I have an attachment to make you one day faint. It's not a joke. This is, I am on the way, on this process. I have not given up that. This life or another life, to show this power of these monks, this energy of this. And this I have given my life. And we have to work for that slowly, so that people will get again the ancient Aryan path to liberation of purity. This power can only come by purity. Now even sometimes my blessings, all that, if Hitler he got that, with compassion this will work. Those some powers work with only when the purity is not there, the powers leave you. The greatest power is to not have ego. The greatest power is the wisdom. Not to get angry, not to know who you are and to be detached. So this is what actually, I think, I was also thinking what I'm really going to get my spiritual treasure, I would say. And because I have some dream also, not just I'm not going to be a preacher or something. One day, I hope everybody will know from another way.
So, will you be an arahant in this life itself?
That's a nice question. Because these questions are very much with the Thai people, They used to ask me when I was in Buddhagaya very much, because sometimes they see a lot of compassion and all that. Now I'm also here, also in Sri Lankans also. They think I'm going to be a Buddha then. Now in Thailand they have all these categories. They are watching other people becoming arahant, and they're all like gods watching others, like experiments. So anyway, one of the nuns, she came to me and asked, Bhante, now they see me suddenly like leaving everything and going. So they think I'm becoming an arahant. Now they're confused. So they asked me, Bhante, what are you practicing all this for? Is it to become a Buddha or is it to become an arahant? So I told her, I think I'm practicing to keep my head above water. But I really later realized that was a good answer. Head is your mind. Water is your defilement. Just to keep your mind out of defilements. Then you can cut the head. When it's in the water, it's difficult. There's resistance from the water, isn't it? Look at it from the practice point of view. And if you have it out, you're free from the defilements, means the nivaranas, then you can destroy the mind. That means you have first dhyana or samadhi, your mind is fresh, bright, then you can have the, so if you want to be a Buddha or Arahant, this is the only method. You are in like an ocean of existence. There's no really choice, we think we can do this, that, like we are in control of our destiny. Best thing is we know now we have control over our anger and greed. Then we have some control. Then surely we will become, we don't have to, it's also cause and effect. So this is this thing, I have some perceptions, but I don't, like when I was a young boy, it seems to come out now again with my devotees, but I don't want to encourage that. Because I really like to come to my state now, where you don't attach to anything and make an identity out of anything. You take them as perception and feelings, and you're free. You're free, and that freedom, it is the one that will bring you to whatever, those spiritual names, Arahant, these names is another. See that, like there was one wife, the husband, the wife said, I'm going to make samosa for you, the Indian couple. Then he said, don't name it now, you make it and then we'll name it. Because, so like that, better we practice and then name the Arahant these things.
Are you actually, in your mind, trying like a visionary to spread Buddhism around the world?
Yeah, I want to, I am trying to spread it in my mind first. This is my thing. I have no other world outside me. This is my karma. I have some karma with you all to have this consciousness. I can see my teacher, he perceived this actually. So I can see we have a destiny to come, and because I am a person, I don't want to meet any one of you. Tell you honestly. But I love you something. That is something there. Even that is something I don't need anyone to see. That is something it will be there with me. And even if you all are far away somewhere, I'll be coming around you. Especially when I'm fully enlightenment, I will search for you all. So I don't need any this. So this is some karma I'm having, destiny. So I try to spread it inside me. Buddhism, okay? I am very interested, very new question for me. I like any other last we will, otherwise.
Question.
Before you get addicted to me, I will quickly, what is?
So, during today's discussion and also in Buddhism, there's a lot of discussion about that peace and happiness comes from understanding non-self.
Yes.
But practically, Bhante, most of us here today, while we talk about it and we might philosophize about it,
yes,
we love our life, we love experience, we want to, even if you approach death, you want to live again.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, you have this strong desire to live and experience.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see non-self?
Yeah, I understand. Now, when you must see the suffering connected with that, and then how much insurance policy you need to have that going on. Even to your children, you still feel the existence of them and so on. But when you're free from this thing, you become fearless, you have faith, and you have, your insurance policy becomes something living in the moment. So that way of thinking, you must see that, if it's completely satisfactory and no problem, it's okay. But so then you have to do something about it. So you have this alternative. So you can start from small things. One thing is to overcoming those addictions, because the addictions make you really, like a big suffering and annihilation to let go of those things. And then you get the lucidity of mind. You can start today immediately, then few days like that, and then you get, definitely you should get, when your wound is healing, you get the happiness of that healing feeling. Like when you're coming out of fever or something, that is the special feeling you get slowly, and that is a wholesome feeling. Because Buddha says he's not telling you not to feel anything, but he tells you to replace a feeling. Because you can't, we can't be without a feeling. We have to slowly, like, I heard that when you have heroin, to overcome heroin, we give, what is this, cannabis, no? I don't know, ganja. Cannabis, is it? How to, sort of detoxifying, to give a lesser drug. So then maybe going for cigarettes and then chewing gum, like that maybe. So like that this is a process. But then you're getting healthy and you're getting self-confidence and you're not sort of lost in suffering. But allow time for this answer to be answered, okay? I know it's not getting in immediately. Okay. It's a very interesting destiny, this trip, you know. I don't know, maybe some of you know about it. No? I don't want to tell now. But this is again now when I'm talking about it, these memories are coming. But I was not thinking when I was in, Birmingham and now here. The rest, the main part of it. It's funny now, you see, very interesting. I feel all of you I have met long time ago. Now in this life I have some memory of these people. This we don't know from where. There's a long history. But this meeting is special. Because not when I was liking Bruce Lee and all that. Now there's a time when they were my heroes. And this is the time really to meet me. Any other question?
Can I ask a follow-up question? When maintaining secret, what you mentioned earlier. So when someone is scolding us, we should think it's a vibration. But then what if they are correct? Or if it's a tantrum, yes, maybe we can think like that. But
yes.
What if it's correct? Or what if it's a misunderstanding? Should we still think it's a vibration and not...
Yeah, not to think is a vibration is the biggest misunderstanding. You understand? Not to think that it is a vibration is the biggest misunderstanding. Because we are living in that conventional, this thing. So, at any moment we are not to think, you really remind yourself and then be in that. Other way, we want to be in the illusionary state of mind. And we take it as like, so even now for any reason, even the person is right or anything, for any reason you get upset or feel upset by that, it is already, I say some people do some mistake and you're angry with that. They actually did the mistake and you think you should be angry with it. But getting angry in this part is more mistake than the mistake others are doing. You understand? Now some traffic, for example, traffic block, I see people always blaming others. Now this is happening very much, I was noticing. I'm sorry all who are taking me, maybe this record will go. And I could see they will immediately blame someone. And now like somebody else, it's not good, no? Because it was like, now even I told I'm late, right? That I'm late today when
Is it anger if we think something is that they have misunderstood you and maybe you want to explain later when they have calmed down? Is that still an part of
you have to check why you want to explain. Like you want to bring them into then you don't know this is like a map, like, okay, relatively, now you're getting caught up with that entanglement, you understand? So you free yourself, like then you have to sort of see that freeing myself will give the answer. Now you see some power. Now these are some practices you have to do where you learn to really let go. And then you see the letting go will create the solution. Now say a misunderstanding, for example. And but nature works in a funny way. When you leave like that, when you purify yourself, in other places I explain about consciousness, how you purify your consciousness, how that it corrects the external world also. It's interrelated. But if you have that inner this thing and you have to cool that inner thing and see the illusionary nature of that experience you went through. That is gone, like a dog looking into a well. He thinks there's another dog. When you're out, there's no dog there. So in that experience is gone completely, but you're relating it because of your mad mind, unenlightened mind, you think it's real. And if you're upset with that, say you die, you go according to that state of mind and you will meet another set of family and another set of people. So just some thought that directs you. There are sometimes you have to do duty, like maybe your children, you have to explain to them that, and then, but you see, you don't do it with anger. You said, cool yourself and see what's the duty part. Now these are long stories, I can't explain how I did it with my brother when I was with family. So use meditation to do everything. That means you keep a cool mind and do. If you don't have a cool mind, don't touch anything. In your shrine room. This I did. So then you'll have no regrets. You passed that situation, you'll have good memories. In other words, you have no memory. That's the good memory. Yes. Now many ask me, Bante, do you remember your parents? I said, when you are telling now, I remember. I settled those things that time. I mean, I lived with them, what I need to do, so you can't have any memories about them. You're at peace.
When I'm doing Metta Bhavana, I can forgive past actions that have happened towards me, but I struggle to forgive myself for my own actions.
Right.
Is there a way that you could...
Yes, it's not through metta actually. It's good to know where you are, who you are really. Like whether there was really a person that time. Now for example, you have a memory. Okay? That experience is a state of consciousness. You didn't do all these things in an unconscious state, isn't it? So you had a consciousness, you had some picture of somebody, something happened. Now if you break it apart, what happened there, you can see that there was like you recognize somebody and then you named the person, it's perception. Now those factors arose there and then, it finished there and then. Okay? So without those things, will you recognize anything as you? Do you get any memories of an empty thing? No. So you see that there was no person there. It was, if there's a person, there should be something remaining all the time up till now. But it arose, you have to picture how it arose there and then it finished. Even for you to recall is, so there was no person there and there's no person even now. There won't be a person, that this is an idea that is coming out. So you have to remove the mask and see that watching state of your mind, where you don't label anyone. That I was there and somebody else did, it's a misunderstanding. And you are free, but of course if something wrong, you don't repeat it. But you don't remember it also. Because no need, it's unhealthy. You have to quickly solve it. You have to see what it is, whether it was you really. And like that, and then just solve the thing immediately and you don't have to bring it back. So the metta and all that, it has a certain level, but sometimes it doesn't work only by wisdom, for knowledge. That burns even the traces of, haunting, negative ways of thinking. Even to be self-pity and all this, these are all the form of aversion in a different form. Is it okay? I'm not used to answering it, now I have to get into another brain, But I like to get into that only by coming out. It's like a boxing ring, I'm in a, any other, this thing? Sorry, no? No, I don't accept. You can offer it to the monks here. Any other? No? Yes.
Just one question, that you said to touch up, you have to get rid of the addictions.
Yeah, very good.
Do you have any tips for day-to-day life for us, for children?
I gave, okay. Oh, I didn't tell another important one. From how the computers, the demons come? No? Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. I quickly go through this, right? There's this, like I had this experience where one rishi, who had a mental power, he was able to bring the unseen things, invisible to you, to the body. Now, normally we have some unseen things coming behind us. So I told you now, to do good things, they are driving, to do bad things, there are negative forces driving. Like that, for good things also there are negative, certain souls or things that are there. For you to come like this also, for example. So now, once I remember this particular saint who had this mental power, he was able to bring those spirits into your body who are hiding. So, make them, so the person is unconscious and someone else is talking when he does that. So once a boy was brought by the mother, he was into computers and going to parties, and he was now studying. These were the complaints. So when this spirit, he did this thing, and the boy was unconscious and this other person was talking, the saint That time asked, who are you? He told some name. And then he said, when did you enter? He said, when he was 13, this body was 13 years old, I entered this. How did you enter this body? When you was playing games. I was surprised. When I heard this, because I had no idea what these computer games, this and that. Now, I got to know, now the computer games in Oxford University, the research made that the level of heroin addiction, the heroin addicted person, the dopamine that is sent out, the feel-good hormones, is same when you're playing games. The addiction to, when you're playing games, the dopamine that is put out from the brain, that they have found the brain, how it's functioning, they call the feel-good hormones, I think, that which now you need a high dosage to feel. That's what the receptors, so that's how it just eats you up. So same way, these games have that same amount of thing released in your brain. I reconfirmed recently through another neurosurgeon. It was very nice. Because very interesting why, so you can understand the addictive there, and then the negative forces enter in the body, because you are tapping those planes. And that's which drives the force then, because they are, like you're not controlled, they are controlling you. So another place they say they enter through Facebook. I mean, I only know the name Facebook. I know to operate YouTube, but I don't want to learn further. But Facebook, you might know. Now, this is the way to know whether it's texting or what you call this texting thing, and this that should activate your brain to, if it is making you focus to that external object so much, and it's reducing your power of attention and memory and all these things, that means some damage is happening in you. Definitely those nerve damaging dimensions and spirits have entered the body. Now I'm going to what I should be talking in the beginning of so just I didn't want to miss this topic also. So this is for addictions. When you know like that, this is the tip. You understand? To know you're sick is the first medicine, is the biggest medicine. If you know you're sick and you think you're healthy, is the biggest germ. You understand? So this is then you will be noticing. So other thing, the parents will worry now when they say, oh my God, how to control. No, don't worry. I see this all don't get addicted. Now my brother is always like a problem. I feel sorry, I'm talking about him. It's my life. I noticed he was also addicted to games. Now even if I speak slowly, it will be recorded, I think, right? I'm going. Anyway, I'm sure that's the problem of being my brother, I was with him at... So, this addiction, he used to actually, what was it? He also was, very much, now, even now at this age, he plays the games. And his wife is telling me that, so now this kind of addiction, it comes, I feel, from previous lives also. Not everybody. But better to be careful. Okay, but one thing as parents, you can't tell them to stop, or they might even secretly go into this. What you must make sure is you must have another spiritual experience you must give, maybe prayer together, taking them for spiritual activities. So then you expose them, and this knowledge also if possible. So you expose them now, then another place the spirits say that when you open that website, or there is a website page or something, that means website, right? That they are under our control. So I think that's why I told you in the beginning, the demon, they are using this computer more for their message to spread. More than, so if you're using it, if you know about this and make sure you don't, that even when you try to press the button, immediately the thought comes, you are in that because they are spirit form. They have no barrier. So, but if you do the spiritual thing separately, another thing, if you are a real mom, now I have seen that also, real wife, you will have a mystical force. I tell you one story about one gentleman. He was like gambling and womanizing, and so he was through. And when he was doing all these things, his wife, he got a wonderful wife. He had no good parents, he was like an orphan for long, but he was having a big post during the British time. Now he told the story when he was very old. So he gave up womanizing. He gave up gambling because he found a beautiful wife who had a lot of compassion, and also she was spiritual. And so he was not at all spiritual, so he gave up these two things, but drinking he was continuing. And he didn't want to, she didn't also tell anything about that, and he didn't also sort of obstruct her spiritual activity. So she had a shrine room and she was doing all these things. So one day she was going for some puja or some spiritual activity with the friends. So the husband was very happy because he could enjoy the drink alone without the pressure of the wife. So when she went, she took this, he arranged everything. He had a small bar in his own lounge or whatever. When he was trying, he wanted to light the cigarette. And there was no matches to light this. And then what happened, now this is not going to complete his enjoyment without the cigarette. So finally, then he saw the shrine room, and there was this lamp burning. He has never entered the shrine room, but he's also feeling a little bit this thing. But he really thought, and he went inside, he says. When he went inside, and when he tried to light that, he said something happened. And it changed his whole life. He stopped smoking, he stopped everything. And then many years back, what happened? How he turned. Now this is because of the purity of the wife. The wife was so focused with her meditation and this thing, she didn't even feel that husband, these are the level of practice of these people. So she allowed that detachment to look after the husband. You understand? Because even when you worry about something, that somebody is not becoming good enough, your worrying is making you bad. You don't see the spiritual laws work in a different level. Like I told, the anger should not show outside also, like this. So then this gentleman, so this is very important to develop that mystic force. That's very important, my friend. Now another case I know, my friend, one very close friend of mine, her child, he was a drug addict. And he was going with this, all these groups, and she couldn't bring the child back. Then what she did for 1 week, she observed 8 precepts and thought of the Buddha and waited like that. And leaving it to the Buddha. I'll be ending it very soon, okay? And then what happened? Then after that, the child, when it went 1 week, the child came running. Where's mama? Where's mama? Where's mama? So if you really want to help somebody, if you self-purify and do this, there is something. If you're really doing it, even if it is not happening, you will have the strength to face it. But there are more chances of it happening when you're doing like that. You get a now way also in case some troubles like that. So my friend, now we are going to, it's almost 3 hours, isn't it? Okay. Do you feel tired? Only thing that maybe you had to rush catch a train or something, but otherwise do you feel tired actually?
No.
Yeah, you got my power. Yeah. This is some spirit, I hope it will go with you, but now is enough really. Because now one important thing I must quickly finish off is that I told you before that if you want to become really enlightened and awakened, what you should do, maybe you should listen to my YouTube, isn't it? Do you think so? Because maybe I'm enlightened, isn't it? Maybe I'm having the shine a little bit, and who knows, maybe I applied Nivea in my room. So, I must tell you, maybe you must go through those special YouTube, this thing, maybe I'll explain more about how to become enlightened and so on. How many of you will do that now? Can you raise your hand? Half. What? I'm not popular or what? Or you were doubting about me? Yes, my friend. Then, because I'm not a sure GPS, you think? To liberation? Yes, my friends, correct. I am not a sure GPS. Because who knows what I have experienced, what level I have experienced. There is one GPS. Buddha says 4 factors for enlightenment. It's called Satpurusha Sansebo. That means having a right good friend. Good friend means not a friend that makes you laugh or whatever, or he's a friend who is also has seen Nibbana, who has been liberated, at least glimpsed it. Then when you meet him, you're supposed to hear his words. You talk to him and then those words is listening. Satpurusha Sansevo Saddhamma Sat. Then is Yoniso Manasikara, that you contemplate what you have heard from that person. And Bambalapitiye, you practice according to that. So my friends, are we not sure? Now even when I explain, it is some parts of it. But Buddha also tells, even if in the last days, how much you hear this, there's an enlightened master here or this person there, don't say yes, don't say no. This was his last advice. Check what they are saying with what I have said, the Dhamma. Even if you find 2, 3 times, then accept they have understood. That means to make his instruction your teacher. So this is very important. You must go to the original. Now most of you know English, my friends. The best thing that happened to me going to South Africa was knowing English and learning to think in English. So that made me to read the suttas, the original teachings, but through English. And that was, the English translations are very good, no problem. And I recommend to you Word of the Buddha by Gnanaloka Mahathera. It's like a handy book, a small book, which is, I think, a perfect GPS all the way. I mean, you don't feel like you're reading now. He wanted an Anapana shortcut. Now this is your tablet I'm giving you. Okay? This is a small book, this is like the under 4 Noble Truths. But you must be patient. What I'm talking is not going to be like very entertaining. If you have to analyze, practically do it, because it's directly what Buddha says. What Buddha says, my friends, to appreciate, it needs a level of tranquility and purity. But it is solid. Sometimes you have to be brainwashed in a positive sense, unconditioned. So from all the modern ways of teaching and expression through the corrupt form of, the mind. I mean, it looks entertaining sometimes, but it doesn't bring so you can see, even if you study something, practice, if it makes you less anger, less greed, okay, just follow it. But my teacher used to tell me, if a monk or any preacher is sincere, he will direct you to the words of the original words, not him. So this is something I want to stress. You have this Word of the Buddha by Gnanaloka and Middle and Discourses by, Bhikkhu Bodhi. And I mean, you don't need to know the whole thing. It could be a verse that will trigger this. So you learn to apply, read. If you don't understand, skip that page. Go to the next page, like that. Very interesting. There are certain places, you can get a clear, you must just get the vision from those verses, not read a bulk. Sometimes just a small conversation, those are recorded, they are the suttas. And that would trigger the insight in those monks in the past. So this I am telling you, that Satpurusha Sanseva, the first factor of meeting a right friend is the book now. I mean, I would not suggest for you to get it from the, internet, because you don't get that feeling now. When we were in the forest, in the jungle, solitary, with the small books, few pages, and the lamp, the kerosene lamp, that was the atmosphere which, with all these lights, I'm not getting any enlightenment. Really. I'm not getting, because there's so much external enlightenment, then the internal one is not happening. To get the internal one, the external one must become dark. Then the internal one lights up. So this is these 4 factors he says. So when you read, you apply. You go for a walk after that. There are so many fields here. Beautiful England is, You just go for a walk, and then suddenly this will daunt you. Don't go with the stress of I want to realize this and so on. Just enjoy. Read in the afternoon like that. When you're coolly going, I'm sure you're on the path, and the other addictions, this and that, you can try it out. And relaxing and meditating, these things. This you can do. I think a group of long, this is a meditation for you all, 3 hours, Babies, and this is something you already get. And invisibly, though I'm talking, there's something also working in your brain. And one thing I expect when I bless now, it's a kind of a samadhi, kind of an energy. So to keep this with you, it's important you try to be quiet as possible until tomorrow morning. That means what is necessary to talk is okay. But when you chatter or talk, the energy goes away. It is like from the mountains, the saints, the energy is sort of saturated, and so you can get more blessings if you keep it silent. Do some meditation rest of the night. That's okay. Take dinner or whatever. And tomorrow morning you can talk. Not many hours. You can see how difficult to be silent also, right? How addicted we are for talking and so on. So now finally, this I hope, in the bedside you can keep the book, my friend. Read a bit, and apply. What certain parts, someone shouted at you, someone praised you. Praising one you don't want to avoid. Normally some disappointment, some sadness. You can relate it to that. And if you really relate, you find where you were holding and you were having stress from that. It will let go. And when you read and apply like that, when you finish the suttas, you are refreshed, energized. This is how it should happen. It's not something you read fast. Not every part, like story part and introductions, you go fast. But the application part, you enjoy applying it. That is you're on the path. You're bound to get enlightened if you do like that. So last, I gave you the way, okay? This is something I'm telling you, if you want to really reading those books, observing, watching through that, getting guidance from that to sort of guide your thinking process of mindfulness, and when you're then you can already do those practices of resting and driving, going to the toilet, and also anything you're doing secretly, trying to stop that now, knowing it's poisonous to your character and your consciousness, and you make your life straight and honest, and then you begin to develop that solid path one by one. Given you all enough tools, I think this is the longest, in the long one, but I also don't feel tired. I don't know why. Maybe you all have super energy, Really, yesterday my mouth was paining here, or not like this. But now I feel really fresh. I can go for another 3-4 hours. It's okay, now I will stop. So what we do now, one small thing I want to sort of do, you must learn to relax your body, okay? Just sit quietly and little bit try to get a relaxed posture. I want to really see that whether you really relax. I think this gentleman, can you come here? Can you see him? Can you sit there? Can you recline and sit comfortably as possible? Keep your legs straight. Now I will be doing something. You must not pay attention, right? You can watch him a bit, and you must only focus on when you're falling asleep, you forget the surroundings, all the surroundings, and you sort of that kind of idea in the mind you must keep. Just be relaxed completely, comfortably, like you're in front of a seashore or something, or look in a park, seated. Don't think of this crowd or something, they are not demons. And just, so I'm not telling you all should just watch to get an idea. These are basic, something before you start your meditation. Okay? So I'm going. So your little intention. It's okay. Little only. Just relax a bit, complete a deep breath. Smile in, out breath. Just Just take normally, no need meditate, no meditation here. Otherwise we get meditation stress. Just relax here, just take no meditation. You are in front of a, take deep breath and just relax completely. All the tension in the cheek area, let it go. That will forget about this crowd. Okay, that's better. Take another deep breath. No meditation also, just relax. Okay, sit, take a seat. It's okay. So that is important. Now you get some idea? You can see how we are sort of holding. Now you're releasing slowly, but if you take some more time to release more, you can start. So this is initially, this is Kaya Viveka, without the, these are small tips, if you don't, now when you're, first if you don't get that physical restfulness, how can you go to enjoying other levels of peace in your mind? Possible. So this is important. You find that, now you can lift my hand, would you like? Lift it and okay. Don't worry about any respect or anything. Just to show them, you lift this hand fully up and let go. You can stand up and do it. Lift it fully up. Again up. Okay, sit down. Relax, okay? I am getting your attention also. Yeah, my devotees, some of them in Sri Lanka, they are telling, Bhante, you're so relaxed in the programs. Yes. What am I to give you? To give you relax, I have no identity to keep or something to impress you. I'm enjoying it. I have to enjoy, otherwise how to do it. So this physical relaxation, you must first do it, when you start your meditation normally. And not only start, everything should be a meditation. When you're driving, you must check whether you're seated in a comfortable way, You find you put your legs and then relax and then start driving. Enjoy the drive. You think about later paying your taxes or whatever. Now you don't pay taxes while you're driving. Otherwise you keep, that is important to control your thoughts. That poisonous thoughts, you don't bring them in the moment. You feel the noticing that. And then you are confident when you face that, you are so energized. So that is important. Then you just pay attention to the sounds. Okay? Relax and pay attention to the sounds you're hearing. Nicely relaxing, you pay attention. What you immediately, when you pay attention, actually this is quite a silent place. So when you are on a small door or something, then can you call that is me, myself? Such a happening to this body and consciousness. It is impermanent and suffering. Such a thing, is it really Gnanaloka? Whatever name you give. No hetam bhante, no. Evametam yata bhutam. Buddha says this with more tranquil mind. When you begin to see from inner vision, more peacefully, and learn to let go of those things. Evam passan yata bhutam. This is, you see this as it is. Nibbindati, virajjati, nirodhati, nibbanati. You feel dispassionate. You turn away. You let go. Etang santam is Nibbana. Etang santam, etam panitam, sabba sankhara samato, patisago, tamnakkayo, virago, nirodho, nibbanati. That is peace, that is tranquilizing, to let go everything and to rest completely. Sankhara parama dukkha, nibbanam paramam sukham. This existence, this endless process is suffering. Ceasing of it, completely stilling down, nirvana is great bliss. Just think if our mind experienced this more and more deeply, it will be free from greed, hate and delusion. Now you can change it, the whole room here, the next hall and this hall. May all of them get this mental peace. This entire room, may they get this great bliss out of all worry and fear. Not only this hall, all this neighborhood, like you're going in a helicopter. Entire Chesapeake or whatever area, and England, London, Great Britain, Ireland, like you're going in a helicopter. All these human beings get this mental peace, free from greed, hate, delusion. Not only England, everywhere in Europe. You picture all those people like ants. Now this time most of them sleeping, maybe some in the pubs, but all of them, you picture them, they are existing. May they come to that final peace. And Africa, Europe, Mediterranean, China, India, Russia, Australia, North America, South America. Like you're looking at this planet from space, all humanity, may they come to this final peace. Not only human beings, animals, unseen spirits, lower existences, other lower dimensions of suffering. May they come, get a human birth and follow this path of peace. And the angel worlds, higher worlds, other Deva, Brahmalokas, and the highest worlds, even having eons of existence, to the highest existence, to the lowest existence, every sentient being come out of all suffering to highest being. You picture them like from space outside. This is also, you change it from contemplation to, I give you some small idea only, okay? To do it really in your really practice. And I will give you some blessings. I was planning to give you all something, but tomorrow, if you have a really a big problem with something you want, after my arms round, I'll be here before going to Birmingham, if you have time. Otherwise, my blessings are already going from now, don't worry. Whatever I can give you all, I'll be giving you all. But if you want further something which is like, I am expecting that you have no solution from that, there's something I have to give in case you want that type of, but no solution, really complicated and really those type of difficult situation, tomorrow, with the sickness way or emotional way, both ways. After arms round, I will try to give you something additional, tangible, but now I'm already, don't worry, you don't miss anything. And only thing, try to keep quiet, take dinner, tomorrow morning try to talk. Wait a minute. Anyone have some special problem, you can just slightly raise their hand that you'd like me to bless specially.
न जाया न वेद्या न वृत्तिर्ममैव गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि भवाब्धावपारे महादुःखभीरो प्रपात प्रकामी प्रलोभी प्रमत्ता कुसंसारपाश प्रबद्धः सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि दानं न च ध्यानयोगम् न जानामि तन्त्रं न च स्तोत्रमन्त्रम् न जानामि पूजां न च न्यासयोगम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं